Go for it. Hello and welcome to On The Esky, a sports podcast. A sports podcast where we today are going to take a big look into the next round of football in the domestic leagues, focusing, of course, on the NRL and AFL. Then we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, bit of NFL and cricket news, what's happened recently in the golf too. There's an F1 race to have a look at, and then there's a bunch of fights and UFC news and some soccer stuff to talk about too. So there's lots happening, of course, in the sports world.
Always.
I've got two of the three boys with me at the table. I've got Peps on my left and then Monks at the end of the table. Macca will join us in the not too distant future as well to sit on my right.
Has teaching commitments at 8 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Apparently they work past 3:30.
Yes. How's everyone, all the boys, how's your week been?
Really good, actually. Yeah, nice wedding even up in Bathurst. Right. Yeah, central New South Wales on the weekend. Lovely afternoon there. Congrats to Mitch, this Bruce Moose Bruce. And yeah, this week just working.
Yes, working for the man. But today is all about sports.
That's right.
And to kick us off, Peps, do you want to do a shout a beer out?
Yeah, so we're just going to do one shout a beer out to Ricken Patel. One of the subscribers of our channel, always has some input in the comments. So he asked us why we support the American teams that we do support. You're kitted out in there. Your Broncos kid. I got my Packers hat on. Mac is a floating head Ravens fan over there for now.
Yep.
You forgot your Bucks merch, but that's
it's on the wall behind me.
Bucks socks on at the moment.
Socks. Are they from a certain wedding?
Might have been.
Yeah, right. Very good. Well, why don't you take it away, Sean? Why do you get around the Denver Broncos and the other Denver teams?
Yeah, well, essentially for me, it all travels through Denver. So I was going through it a little bit earlier with my history. Kind of started in the early noughties, following probably more the Rams, getting into the Grey Show on turf. At the time, Kurt Warner and Marshall Falk leading that. And that kind of was my entry into the NFL. And of course, through Madden. Big in Australia, a lot of guys get into the NFL through Madden as the video game. So, 03 had Falk on the cover. That's kind of where I started. And then at that point, I was like, I really like the sport. I need to find a team to support. And then just kind of doing the research, clicking around the various websites. I just landed, and we're talking 03, so it's early times, or late 03, 04-ish now, early times of the internet kind of being spread, dial up essentially.
Yeah, that's right.
And, I just landed on the Denver site and, I don't know. It felt right. The blue and orange. For whatever reason, I just connected with it.
Yeah.
And then from that day on, I've just been diehard Denver fan.
Yeah, yeah.
So having, following the Broncos so closely, I was then, of course, when the Nuggets started doing good in the 08-09, when they made that first kind of finals run, then I made more in that connection with the Nuggets. Then the Avalanche, of course, going deep, and I think they've won a Stanley Cup in that time frame as well. And then, of course, the Rockies, I think they went deep one year. I don't think they made it to the World Series. But again, in the playoffs, just getting around all the Denver teams for the four major sports. Don't really follow any of the soccer teams over there, but yeah, those are the four, and how I kind of got into that scene of American sports.
Yeah.
So I just funneled it all through Denver.
Be interesting to see if the Nuggets can get that elusive finals appearance this year. Off to an interesting start. We'll get to that a little bit later. What about you, Monks? Tampa Bay Bucks for a long time.
Yeah.
But before the Tom Brady era, much before. I will back you up on that one.
Do you remember the first quarterback? Was it Leftwich? No, Leftwich would have been close. No, who was?
So I suppose off the back of you following the sport, Sean, I got to know NFL, mid-noughties. It was probably just after, a few years after the Super Bowl run, their period of success. So they still had a couple of the boys still there.
And
that defense, Derek Brooks and Rondo Barber.
04 season?
It. No, 01, I think.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was 01 and then, yeah. Oh, then
with the Super Bowl in 02?
Yeah, Super Bowl in 02. That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they beat the Raiders, Richard Gannon's final year. And like you said, that defense, John Lynch, Warren Sapp, just to name a couple.
Yeah.
Derek Brooks.
Derek Brooks. Rondé Barber was like, I guess as we started playing, I was like, yeah, he's the one that sort of helped me identify who I was as a cornerback as well.
Well, same thing. Like me, Denver, Champ Bailey, Monks and I both played in the secondary when we played here locally. So we gravitated to those guys, and that's who we followed on those teams.
That's it.
Pretty similar in skill and speed, I'd say.
Oh, definitely.
Well. Yeah, very
100%,
close.
100%. In terms of me actually picking the Buccaneers, I can't really remember how or why it happened. It was also around the time of Pirates of the Caribbean and all the fanfare of Pirates. So I don't know if that came into play. Obviously, Tampa Bay, Florida, that whole area is pretty appealing as well.
Yeah. A lot of good golf courses.
Yeah. That's it. I don't know if I was into golf at that point in time.
No, any of us
I was probably a little bit too young for that.
That's like a shit sport for old men. Lo and behold, here's the shit old men right here.
Definitely.
And what about the NBA and
the others?
Yeah, so obviously no Tampa team in the NBA.
No Tampa team in the NBA. To be honest, I don't really have any teams. I follow the sport more so than anything else.
Yeah, I'm much the same for everything other than football.
Yeah. By default, I guess their run of success, I don't mind the Tampa Bay Lightning, ice hockey.
Big hockey fans here, aren't we?
Huge hockey fans.
The biggest.
I don't mind, I guess, those northeastern teams like the Bostons, New York sort of teams in those sports. So as I alluded to last week, I was going to pick up Brooklyn this year as my team to support in the NBA, but as soon as they started acquiring all-star team that they've got now, I was like,
you can't back the villain team.
No, the Monstars.
Not this season at least, yeah. So, jury's still out. Still got a couple of teams to pick.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the followers on our socials could probably
you
put them in the right direction.
I think you backed the Rays last year, but they
Rays
they won, didn't they? Or they fought? No, they came short, didn't they? Two Tampa. Who were the two Tampa teams that won last year? It was Lightning, and the Rays. Made it but didn't win.
Full disclosure, we kind of know what we're talking about with the NFL and the NBA. Not the biggest baseball or hockey fans.
No, unfortunately not.
Full disclosure. So for me, it's just the Green Bay Packers, really. Unlike you boys, I probably became a fan of the sport at around a similar time. And
sat on the fence for a very long time.
Sat on the fence. I couldn't get passionate about.
You just like wide receivers and touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. I loved Megatron, and I couldn't get I'm a Packers fan, but but back in those days, fucking Megatron this, Megatron that, and just any sort of big, gangly unit of a wide receiver. I really gravitated around, and I enjoyed watching the Patriots' success from afar, but it never really super resonated with me. Shout out to Michael Stevenson, one of our good mates, big Patriots fan. I didn't want to jump on that bandwagon, and then I think after watching the Packers beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl about 10 years ago, I started to think, I like Rodgers and I like what they're doing. And I started getting a soft spot for him. And it's probably only in the last sort of 3 or 4 years where I was like, I'm a cheesehead. Like I'm actually committed to this. I'm actually getting emotionally invested. And the whole hoopla of the last month.
So are you a cheese fan? Like, are you a Packers fan or are you an Aaron Rodgers fan?
Well, no, I'm a cheesehead. So if he goes, I'll stick with me cheeseheads. I bleed cheese.
Jordan Love next QB1.
Yeah, let's go. It's a bit boring, really. All of our stories. Sean's never been to Colorado, never been to Denver.
No.
I've never been to Green. I've been to the States multiple times. The other thing,
mostly Hawaii for me. So
and
technically the States like it.
And the big thing for me with the Packers is them being community owned. That's such a strange concept, and we're trying to get our heads around it. We still don't fully understand how it works with their 360,000 stakeholders. But that is a very unusual concept to us. So that's why I'm a Packers fan and a big fan of the NBA, but don't really have a team. So maybe I need to just commit. And I did say on the pod last week, I'd really love to see one of the smaller markets, a Phoenix or a Denver or a Portland or someone this year.
You can get behind the Knicks though, like the Knicks today.
The Knicks, massive market, but have been shit for so long. Definitely get around them. We're in Atlanta. sorry, Macca, he's down there, can't defend himself. Big Lakers fan, but I don't think there'd be anything worse personally than the Nets or Lakers would in this one. Well, time will tell. Anyways, Ricken, thanks for the comment. I hope we sort of answered your question with that dribble. But no, we do love that you comment and are invested in our little podcast.
Yes.
From the other side of the world, it means a lot.
And just to throw in Macca's, I think he just likes purple.
Yeah, well, big Ravens fan, big Lakers fan, big Yankees fan. So that's where the purple thing goes out the window. But Lakers and Yankees, like, come on, man. Like, he's a United fan as well. Lucky he's got the Ravens and lucky he's got the Western Bulldogs. Any American listener probably won't recognise them. They're doing very well this year, but historically not a very strong franchise.
He's just the classic kid in the late 2000s. Just like, where's all the best teams? I'm having them.
Yeah, pretty much. Lakers jersey with a Yankees hat.
Yeah. Following United as well in the background. Beckham or Rooney at the time.
All right. Well, we better get stuck into
some sport.
Yeah, some sport.
Yes. Let's start off with the NRL. And I think first off, we should cover some sad news. Immortal Bob Fulton lost his battle with cancer at the age of 73, and he passed away on
Sunday, I think. Yes, because it was Manly had the minute silence for him and went out and played very well, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah. Very sad, but also nice to reflect on his life and the legend that he was. One of the four initial Immortals, along with Clive Churchill, Reg Gasnier, Johnny Raper, centre 5'8", and from what everyone was saying on Foxtel and remembering him, apparently he was just way ahead of his time in terms of professionalism. Like he would do sprint training and weight training, and back in the late 60s and early 70s, that was kind of like, we train 2 times a week and we get on the piss after train.
Exactly. And I got a day job. So
exactly. And a lot of the boys had to work all day and then rock up and go to training twice a week, and then that was it. Whereas he really sort of started to shift the perception as to what it meant to be a footballer, and it showed. He won 3 premierships with Manly. He was man of the match in one of those in 1973. 219 games for Manly, 129 tries in that time. After Manly played with Warrington over in England and Eastern Suburbs, 285 games total, 35 tests for Australia, 16 for New South Wales. Like, that alone is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a great career.
Then went on to be one of the greatest coaches in NRL or New South Wales Rugby League history. After that, took the Chooks to a grand final. They didn't get the win there, but he took Manly to 83, 87 they won, 96 they won, and 97, 66% winning record as an NRL coach, and also coached the Kangaroos and was a long-time selector. He lived and breathed rugby league. And
all the old boys, everyone knows him. Like as an Immortal, like, he's very much as in there. He's in the scene. He's even like now, like all the guys were like, I was only just talking to him a couple of weeks ago. So he's always in and around the sport. So an absolute legend. And off
the field as well, nicknamed Bozo. Like, he was a clown. Like, he just used to love taking the piss, and apparently you needed to have quite thick skin around him because he would tread you pretty well. So something that we try to do with love to each other here on the Esky. So rest in peace, Bob Fulton. The game lost a legend this week.
So moving into some other NRL news, there's been the immediate retirement of Blake Green from the Knights. I think he was playing 6 for them, or has he rolled into the 7 spot with Pearce?
He's playing 7 with Pearce out, but hadn't been a regular in the lineup this year.
Been banged up. I think he's been struggling with injuries as well.
I didn't realise he was so up, like 34 as a league player. Yeah,
I think he came late into the top grade.
He's played 270 top flight games there. An absolute journeyman. Parramatta, Cronulla, the Bulldogs, stint over in England, Melbourne, Manly Warriors, and lastly with the Knights. I can't think of too many players that played at more clubs. Poor bloke, never won the whole thing. He was at that Storm side in 2016. They lost the grand final to the Sharks. But his immediate retirement opens up a few doors.
Because there's always been the talk about Jake Clifford from the Cowboys. He signed a deal with the Knights. So we're now with the Knights kind of looking for guys to play in the halves because Pearce is still out.
Pearce, out for a long time. still to go with that Tom Peck.
Kurt Mann, I think, has been in and out of the squad.
In and out. He plays 6. They got Phoenix Crossland, who's young and inexperienced. They'd love someone to come in.
Yeah, plus Clifford, who they've signed on a longer-term deal, is getting down and getting started early.
Yep. So if that chest piece moves, then there's the Tom Dearden would be likely to...
Who's
signed from next year, hasn't he?
Interesting enough, Chad Townsend, who also signed with Cowboys, was dropped this week. So he could be an option to move. But it sounds like Tom at training this week kind of said his goodbyes to the boys, because it sounds like it's going to be pretty close to a done deal. At which point, if he moves, then there's a spot possibly for, again, Billy Walters, so Kevin's son, who's now playing with the West Tigers. He hasn't really made it into the top grade, could move up to Brisbane to kind of fill in that spot. I think he was happy to stay at West because they kind of been struggling themselves for numbers in the halves, but he wasn't really getting a game for them at all.
He's 27. Did not realise that because he's only played 10 first grade games. In my mind, he was 23 or 24. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens if all that does eventuate mid-season. It'd be very unusual for 3 players to go like that mid-season, but...
Well, we've been talking about
who knows?
the halfback carousel, and there's been another kickoff today, this week, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I think for now we'll keep that in the back pocket, and we'll move on and talk about the big headline, of course, in the NRL as it continues, the crackdown on head contact. Mostly through high tackles. I think we all talk overs and unders and where we thought this would be.
Well, you got it on the dot because you said 16 sin bins, and it was exactly 16 sin bins. Sportsbet, where's the market?
Where's the market? Sin bins and
we gave out a lot of shit tips last week. We would have loved to have a win on that one because you got it right on the nose. There was no send-offs. So
I did say 4 send-offs because I thought that if they're going to continue what they did last time, I could see there being send-offs, but no send-offs. And I picked 16 purely because there was 8 games or 7 games. 8 games. 8 games. And
quick math, Sean.
Quick math. And I doubled it. Quick math.
Listeners, let us know in the comments. The quick maths on this show could be something that could be deleted very easily. I was getting stuck into it via text. I didn't need you to let me know last week how quarters and eighths work. I was
just putting it in perspective.
I like the analogy, but it's a classic.
I mean, the real question is 10 minutes. How much of a season is that?
That's hard. That's actually
that's a good stat.
Difficult math
for next week.
Yeah. So, 160 minutes of football were missed through this in bits.
Fuck this. Let's move on.
I just wanted to say that it was interesting, though, that 2 games had no sin binnings this week. But then we had 2 games that have 4. So they made up for it to get to my 16 number, which was quite interesting.
Also, there was consistency across games, or was just one game?
Don't know. Yeah. Like, for example, we'll get to Victor Radley in a minute. He could have been sin bid 4 times, honestly, himself. He did get 2, and he probably could have got another 2. And
reported 4 times.
Yes, he got reported 4 times, which leads into there was 29 charges from the round as well. And I think there's now 24 guys sitting on the sidelines for this
from
round.
The last 2 weeks. Yes.
Which is, not a full starting team, but
it's 7 less than a full team. Jesus Christ. Anyways, moving forward, Angus Crichton, he came out on Matty Johns and he said, players are milking this already. It was one of our concerns. We always talk about it when there's a rule change. How can people get on top of it? The Dylan Napa, Jared Wallace one.
That was the big one.
To mind.
And the scenes of Dylan Napa just giving Jared Wallace an absolute spray, considering they may have played Origin together in a couple of weeks. But just getting stuck into him, saying, you're milking this, you're staying down, I barely touched you. It was a slap on the chops. But, of course, Napa gets binned, and then I think he got 3 weeks or something like that. So diving and milking. We talked a little bit about it in the soccer world, how they kind of turned us off soccer for a very long time.
You can't have that in this game.
You can't have that.
This is a Warriors game.
It's a gladiator sport, as they talk about.
It is. And like Ricky Stewart, it's not a game for everyone. You don't want to bring that kind of bullshit into this game, seriously. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
They already talk about the Well, they already do the milking in relation to like staying down in the ruck, and it's like milking. But if a bloke gets like slapped on the chops and stays down, and is the ref going to go milk it?
Like,
or is he?
Well, the ref can't say it.
Yeah, well, is he run that risk that bloke actually has a problem?
Yeah,
and
it's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's going to be tough to adjudicate whether he's milking it or not. And
I remember doing the Jeff Tuvey was very famous at slowing the play the ball down. Our younger listeners won't have any idea who that is, so Google Manly legend Jeff Tuvey. But playing backyard footy against Dad and my little brothers, I used to do the Jeff Tuvey sometimes. I knew I had a handsome 4-try lead, so just really slow down the play the ball at the end of the game, try and take some seconds off the clock.
Yeah, so milking, something to watch coming into the next round of football, whether the refs have been asked to, again, another thing for them to target and have a look at, adding more grey to the grey area. So we'll have to keep going for that.
Now, what about this study? You came across this out of neuropsychologist Andrew Gardner. He is a professor, associate professor, at the University of Newcastle. Quite a young bloke. I looked him up. So
yeah, and a shout out to NRL Physio on Twitter as well.
Good little
Twitter. Yeah, to follow up on all the injuries in sport and the details from the sport. But it was very much looking at the amount of HIs that have happened across. I think it was 3 seasons?
Yeah, 6,140 tackles
across those 3 seasons, and then how many of those HIs were, say, defender and then or ball carrier, which it turned out significantly it's on the defender's side. So 57% was of the defender, 37% of that, of course, was 37%. Sorry, in total was up above. Let's go nipple height is a higher chest, tackle, and then 20% was in a low tackle. And then the ball carrier got the 33%, and then collision/contest you had another 10% to get to your 100, which is quite interesting because if the high tackle rules and the crackdown on it, it's probably more aimed at the ball carrier. It doesn't address the fact that
protecting the ball carrier, that is.
Yeah, protecting the ball carrier, that is. Yeah, it doesn't kind of address the fact that most of the HIAs and concussions are actually coming from the defenders.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. Blokes go high, that they get their own head on the ball carrier's head and knock themselves out, or
even teammate.
Yeah, friendly fire.
Friendly fire. Who
was it? Kurt Mann. He got absolutely crunched by the Safidi boys a few weeks ago.
That's it.
We'll get into some of the suspensions handed out by the judiciary shortly. But a lot of the guys that went down got straight back up. They were fine. And yes, you do want to stamp out high contact. But I think that is something that maybe needs to be considered when guys just jump up and they go, "Yeah, I'm all right."
Well, the question was the crackdown very much just a visual aspect, as in we want to get rid of the, we don't want to be sending those things to the mums and dads of the world that want to put their young fellas into the sport that, hey, they're going to cop head knocks and stay down, or are they trying to protect the player? If they're trying to protect the player, cracking down on high shots for ball carrier only is affecting 33% of HIAs, so it's not really targeting that market.
It's Swiss cheese. There's a lot of holes in it. There's a lot of holes in this rule.
It was interesting because Victor Radley kind of came out as the poster boy for last week with his amount of charges that he got and the amount of sin bins he had. Said that tackling low isn't the solution. This stat actually kind of is interesting that you're 3.2 times greater chance to get a HIA, as in have head contact, when you stand more upright, so upright tackle. Makes sense. Shoulders, heads, head clashes. That's where they are. So you're in that zone of getting whacked that way. Whereas Victor Radley was kind of pointing out, hey, if I go low, I don't want hips or elbows.
You can still, or knees
as well.
Yeah.
But
you can still cop that as a tackler.
Yeah. So I don't know whether it's more training technique, because the belly's the soft area, the thigh's the meaty bit. Those are the bits you're trying to hit. Things will go wrong, of course, and you will have accidental head knocks. But with most of the head knocks coming from defenders, I don't think this crackdown kind of is
really
helping the player safety and trying to address if they're worried about that NFL lawsuits type thing with concussions, the crackdown on high tackles only, as he said, is affecting 33% of that.
Well, I mean, the whole argument at the moment, it overtly does look like it's protecting the ball carrier, like targeting the head and all that sort of stuff. But fundamentally, it does come back to technique, like tackling technique. if you want a defender to stop tackling high, penalise him for it, and then they can change their technique. So I think while it looks like, and everything's been talked about, protecting the ball carrier, protecting player from high shots and all that sort of stuff, I think fundamentally it does come back to helping the defender understand like where they're coming from and understand their technique and how they need to change it to play A, within the rules, and then B, in a safer manner.
True. And I was just thinking, don't want to spitball here, but a lot of these things friendly fire, like multiple guys in the tackle. I would not surprise me if they. No, I'm going off the deep end. It won't happen, but one-on-one tackles is all you're allowed.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
This is that South Park episode.
Yeah. Oh, they're all now wearing bubble wrap.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You know what's funny. A good game to play? Oztag.
Exactly. Well, Ben Hunt said it is not touched. So
no, well, that's right. And Victor was pretty unapologetic as well in his presser. He copied his 5 weeks and he said, "Look, I've had great coaching. I think my tackling technique is fine." And he was on an absolute rampage. Like, if you saw that out of someone in the 80s or 90s, you'd just be going, yeah, like this bloke is out there. They're trying to run over Sammy Walker, his little 18-year-old halfback, Pangai Jr. and Huss. And it was Pangai Jr. that he got with the high shot.
Yep.
And, like, 10, 20 years ago, you're patting your forward on the back. Yeah, you're putting your body on the line to protect your well, that
G's your boys up, momentum, the whole lot. So.
Yeah, exactly right. So, look, he kind of said, the league, they've changed the rules halfway through the season. Doesn't mean I have to change my tackling style. Well, it kind of does. It's rubbed him now from 2 origins.
Yeah.
You'd think he wouldn't play the third one because he's only going to have a game with Roosters under his belt.
Kind of went back to my point last week that I was saying, it was like, why are we doing this in round 10?
Yeah, exactly. We're all saying that. If you want to implement something like this, it has to be done with trial games or at a lower level. But
or at least come out with a system that makes sense.
Correct.
And consistency.
Again, as per last week, we could talk about it for 3 hours. We must move forward.
So, was there... I just want to finish on that point on consistency. So Victor Radley got sent off twice, got reported for 4 different aspects. His 2 last ones were just as bad as his first 2. He should have probably been sin bin 4 times.
Were they though?
They were head contact that was high. Like
that late shot on Albert Kelly after he kicked the ball, you see that a lot in the NRL.
Yeah,
and it's a strange thing as well coming across I play AFL. I love following league, but I play Aussie rules. That's not allowed in
tackling a guy kicking.
Yeah, exactly. After you kick the ball.
Same with the NFL. Like you can't
you need to. I think, and that's something that if they really care about player welfare, maybe that's something they need to start thinking about. But that like general consensus is, you're allowed to whack a 6 or a 7 after they get rid of the ball off their boot.
Yeah.
The shot on Pangai is weird because.
He jumps up into it.
He does get him a bit high, but Pango jumps straight back up. He's like that for mine. That Herman Essay one last week, where he got 3 weeks, was way worse.
Yeah.
So again, consistency.
Yeah. This is like, maybe that's a 5 minute sin bin, like we're talking about. Like it doesn't.
Jamie Soward,
doesn't
avid listener.
Yes, it doesn't hit the 10. But then I also thought when the point in the game, I don't want to say the Roosters were losing. What's the center's name for the Roosters? He got reported twice as well. Again, 2 high shots after Radley.
Joseph Manu?
Yeah, Joseph. After Radley had already spent 2 times in the sin bin. So they could have had, those 2 blokes could have been sin bin 4 times between them in the second half. I don't want to say the refs were kind of like, hey, kind of need the Roosters to get back into the game a little bit.
Oh, sure.
But if they're being consistent,
conspiracy theories.
A lot of did you say allegedly?
Allegedly. But a lot of that, like, there could be another 4 sin bins there. There could be 6 in total. Like, if they're going to be consistent, it's like what equals what? They haven't really come out and said it. They said, hey, it's got to be impactful or forceful. And it's like, well, if you're trying to make a tackle, I think 100% of them are going to be impactful or forceful. You're not going out there with bloody feather dusters trying to dust a bloke. You're out there trying to hit it, whack a guy. So
we must move forward. Cowboys have signed Peter Hiku. Don't mind that. He's only 28.
Good signing for them.
11 test caps for the Kiwis. something I hate talking about. I don't know why we're going to bloody talk about it again, but Israel Folau.
Just cover it quickly.
Yeah, he wants to play for Southport Tigers with his two brothers.
Clive helping him out, so the billionaire Palmer.
Another one of my favourite blokes.
But I think Catalans is a problem there. He's still signed with them. Hasn't actually been officially released.
And I don't expecting him back to play next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this season. Whether that happens or not, they might hold firm on it and say, hey, you've got a contract with us, you've got to come back. Mm-hmm. Maybe there'll be some buyout, some clause with that, just to play some Queensland Rugby League. Mm-hmm. It's not park footy. It is decent footy, but it's
not Q Cup either.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it'll be in on the Southport Tigers WhatsApp group?
Oh, probably. You know what those boys will do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The old group chat. Tell you what, nothing is sacred in there.
No.
Something that we don't want to deliberate on too much, but big news story today.
How many years has it been hanging around for?
So 2.5. We're talking about Jack de Belin. I got a little bit of legal knowledge gained today. There is a big difference between charges dropped and not guilty, but the charges were dropped. Incident happened back in December of 2018, end of the 18 season. So he sat out all of 19, all of 20, and half of 21. He's been on $1,000 a week at the Dragons.
I think he's been training every day. Like he's in there in the club.
He still trains, and I think they'd said to him, like, if you know you don't go to jail, you're a great player.
Origin player,
lit it up in Origin. Has all the talent in the world. So it comes out today that the charges have been dropped. Mm-hmm. We don't speculate on what happens in a court of law. We try to keep it focused on what happens on the footy field. The Dragon CEO came out and said that he needs to have a couple games in the resis and probably be playing first grade in a number of weeks.
Yeah, considering they're running out of reserve graded side at the moment, he'll be straight in. So.
That's what I'm saying. If he wants to have a run in the reserve grade side, he should play in West Tigers on the weekend, not the bloody West Magpies. He should be playing the Tigers. Dad said it is a reserve grade side.
Yeah, I think he'll play one game and he'll kill it, and then he'll be straight back in.
Yeah,
and if he has a good month, maybe he plays the last Origin.
Could you imagine? That story?
The turnaround and fortunes.
Yeah. Well, and Radley, not quite the same player, but he again we're saying probably he won't be playing Origin. Crichton's going to miss game one.
Angus Crichton, that is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Be very interesting. Speaking of Origin, game one is meant to be.
This is where
2 weeks.
This is where go.
2 weeks. So 2 weeks away from yesterday. 13 days. Meant to be down in Melbourne, and I need to make a formal apology to the people of Australia. The On The Esky curse is a real thing. It's a real thing. Usually it pertains to the result of a football game. We'll be like, the Melbourne Demons smacked Adelaide Crows, take them minus the line.
Put the house on.
Yeah, put the wife and kids on it. That's generally what the On The Esky curse pertains to. Last week we were saying, COVID. They haven't had much COVID in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah. Let's go to Melbourne and watch the D's play dog.
The floating head. He was. Mackie, you can take your cap off. We all know you're bald. He was meant to be going down tomorrow night for the top of the table clash in the AFL, which we will get to later. And us fucking morons last weekend were going, there's no COVID in Australia. How lucky are we? Melbourne into a 7-day lockdown.
Starting tonight?
Yes, mid. Oh, no, I think it might have started already.
Yeah, it might have been 7 o'clock tonight. Yeah, it might have started. But anyway, they're into lockdown for 7 days for the next week, which, throws all the Origin talk in Melbourne out the window.
Correct. And the NRL have come out and said, like a lot of people were saying, why don't you just let Sydney or Brisbane have the first game and then work out the neutral one last. They're like, no, that changes the dynamic of the series too much. Has to be neutral. And guess what, baby? The City of Angels, Canberra, Australia, has been named as a potential.
Well, it's Perth,
host.
Adelaide, or Canberra.
Or they shut their borders down to Victoria.
Yes. So I think, the Melbourne boys are in Brisbane at the moment, so at least they're
Sunny
out.
Coast,
So I don't think they have any issues from getting players selected. So they could go into Western Australia and Adelaide. The reason they're definitely not going to do it in Melbourne is because of that.
Yep.
Because if they send all the boys down there, then they can't come back. Queensland's closed their borders to Victoria as well.
Yeah.
So if they go down, then none of the guys from Queensland can go back into Queensland, or they'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks, which then just ruins Well, they could go back in quarantine and then play State of Origin straight away.
Yeah.
But then they couldn't play any club games in between,
Yeah.
which completely fucks it. So I think there's no way they play this game in Melbourne.
No, I'd agree. Perth or Adelaide seem like a reasonable candidates, given they have 60 and 50,000 seat stadiums.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you want to have a packed out 26,000 on a -4 night at Bruce Stadium?
Bring him down to Bruce Stadium. Bring him to Canberra.
Fucking awesome.
We'll get around it.
Tell you what,
Definitely.
At ACT Legislative Assembly, if you guys are tuning in, I'm sure you are. Where's this stadium we've been promised for the last 10 years? I thought Civic Paul's been getting made into.
I think we needed to get a soccer team and it didn't happen. So.
Right.
Chicken and egg.
A-League.
Yes.
Love talking about it, don't we?
Yeah. Well, we've got one news story about that, but we'll get to that at the end.
Who's top of the A-League table right now?
No idea.
Oh, there you go.
Wests.
That could be about 3 teams.
Well, the Wanderers. There you go.
I don't think it's them. No. So, yeah, State of Origin, who knows? It's going to change day by day.
Yeah, they've got to find a ground for the first game. They should hopefully know probably in the next couple of days. I think they wanted to make a decision by the start of next week. So sometime next week we'll get an answer to that. I think Melbourne at the door, unfortunately. Come to Canberra. Come to cold Canberra. It'll be nice and cold, like a nice beverage.
These ones could be a bit colder, I'll tell you that much. But a nice, delicious Queensland beer for you.
Oh, yes.
Big trader over here. I should have a Tui's New or Victoria. I never understood why VB sponsored the Blues, considering it's a different state. But yeah,
Well, I'm not going to complain. VB's.
yeah, VB. Yeah. You get around a few
I
VBs.
get around them. Yeah.
All right, do you want to run through your side first?
Yeah, so we're staying on the story of State of Origin, considering it's only 13 days away now.
Yeah. Yep.
We wanted to have a quick preview of who we thought was going to be in the team. Queensland, I did a quick New South Wales as well, just as a comparison. A lot easier for me to pick than the Queensland side was.
I think New South Wales goes pretty close to picking itself. So
Yes.
I'm very interested to see what you've come up with.
Yes. So let's run through my Queensland. I've got Ponga at 1.
Now, is
For
he
now.
going to be available?
Is he going to be available? So that's the question. I'll get to that in a minute. I've got Holmes, Gagai, and Coates in my back line. So probably Holmes and Coates on the wing and Gagai in the centres.
Center?
Then I've got, it's either going to be Sammy O'Neill, but I think it's going to be Kurt Capewell. They'll stick with what he was there last year.
Yep.
Sammy played game 1, I think was a bit disappointing. I don't think he's-
Capewell been playing unreal for the Panthers. Plays second row, sort of
So
on the edge there.
yes, so he can fill in there. It's whether they want a specialist or not. So maybe that's why I thought O'Neill is a specialist guy getting up there in age though. But I think it'll be Capewell. Munster at 6. Is he going to be available? I think he won't play, but he'll play Origin. I say the same thing to Harry Green. I think they've both been training, but I don't think they've been playing because they're both not playing tonight, of course, against Brisbane.
They don't really need him. Man.
No. I wonder if Craig's looked at the schedule, was like, you go blokes, we'll give you a rest and we'll go play Origin. So it wouldn't surprise me if they, maybe they take him up, they give him needles, all the story, blah, 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 but they'll be out there. DCE, of course, is 7 for me. My front row was going to be hard to pick because Christian Welch was hurt, didn't play in this game today. Yep. Lindsay Collins out, of course. So I'll start with my second row. I've got Fafita and Big Tino, the Gold Coast double there is my second row with Kafusi as lock.
Yep.
I'll go on with them.
That's a strong back row.
Yes, it is. And then I've got Wallace and Jai Arrow as my starting props.
Okay.
Just from the list that of guys available. Then my bench, I've got AJ Brimson as my 14th man. Yeah. Jaden Sue as 15. I put Hess as a bit of extra size, can play a little bit.
Played a fair bit of Origin.
Yes, he has. I don't think he's been playing real great and kind of a bench player for Cowboys, but with the guys that are available at the moment, with Napa suspended and Papali also suspended, so my 4 props that I would have gone with are all out.
What about Fotuwaka from the Gold Coast? Had a very good game on the weekend.
Yes, so could be a shout to get in there because I've got Dynamis Louis as kind of my last guy on my bench.
He played a game last year or 2, didn't he?
He did, and he's been all right for Canberra. Canberra, of course, have got their own problems, so it's hard to pick some of these guys. My bench,
I'd be surprised if Louis gets a gig, but we'll see.
So looking that way, that's kind of where I got, and then I had Reece Wallace as my 18th man, so I did an 18.
Reece Walsh.
Yes, because I had a few other. Kyle Felt floating around there could go get a run as well, but Walsh was a smoky for me. But
I like that.
Yeah, but just going back to, so if Ponga they're struggling for 6.
Mm-hmm.
So if Munster doesn't play, there's also some chat that Ponga might play 6. And then they put Brimson plays 1. Yep. If Ponga's out, Brimson's my 1 anyway. And then if Harry Grant's out, I've got Reid, Mahoney.
I think
I got it right first. Mahoney. Yeah,
I think it's Marnie.
Marnie is how they say it.
Yeah.
How it looks is
Mahoney. Yeah. I'll back you in there.
So he'd be my 9 if Harry Grant can't go.
Yep.
And then if Munster's out, I had to look up Ben Hunt there, but I had Sam Walker as a smoky.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A young fella, throw him in there, but...
Imagine if Reece Walsh and Sam Walker are in that side.
I know. There's a lot of young talent coming out for Queensland, so I'm happy for future.
Yep.
I think getting someone like Walsh around the squad, 18th man, makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Or even... Because they'll pick 23 guys.
I think Walker... It wouldn't surprise me if Walker's in the squad, can learn from DCE and the others.
They did something a little bit similar last year, didn't they?
Yes.
Well, they had fucking 9 debutants or something last year. It was a team that, weren't meant to win the series.
Yeah, worst team in Queensland. So this team I don't think can be any worse than that team. So,
no.
But, I think if they're going to pick a 6, maybe it's Corey Norman or Ben Hunt as an option for Queensland. My smoker was Sam Walker just because what he's been playing. It's probably not a natural 6. He'd be a DCE replacement, but wouldn't surprise me if he gets to play a little bit during this Origin series at all, because there's 3 games, of course. Wouldn't surprise me if Walsh gets a run at some point too. If he keeps his dominant form up.
He's played 5 games. I think Sammy Walker's about the same.
Well, look what Harry Grant did last year.
Indeed.
As I drink my beer.
My New South Wales team, I think it's a fair bit easier to pick, as I said before. Teddy will be number 1. No doubt about that.
Did you see Andrew Johns put his team out and didn't have Teddy in it? He had Turbo at 1.
Yeah.
Clickbait.
Well, Joey and Fittler are good mates. I think that's just a bit of smoke, just a bit of media talk.
Just them to talk.
Teddy's been a great Origin player.
Purely on current form, Turbo's unreal.
We'll get to him in a second when we talk about Manly. But I've got Teddy at 1 and Turbo in the centres with Addo Carr and Brian To'o getting his debut on the wing. I've got Latrell playing 4, probably just edges out Stephen Crichton.
Yeah, I agree.
Playing very well. I think Zach Lomax was going close before he broke his thumb. And then the halves have gone with Luai and Cleary. Keep that Panthers.
Got the same here.
Magic going. Then my props were starting Payne Haas and Junior Paulo, 2 of the biggest boppers that
big forward back.
Yeah. And, obviously you're only going to get 40, 45 out of those 2, but I think that first 20 minutes of Origin when it's so physical, I think you want to start with them.
I had the same 8 and 10, so I'm on the same page with you.
I got Cookie at 9. I got
no.
Oh,
I picked Cookie as well, but like I said before we started the podcast, trying to look at how would I not pick Souths players just because of the recent form.
Yeah.
The club's not been great, but also they haven't had like Latrell and that in the side.
But on the weekend, they were full strength other than Cam Murray, and they still got pantsed.
Yeah. So
I think Cookie's still the best 9 that getting around in New South Wales. And his Origin form is great.
Yeah, it's like Coruscant's a smoky.
Origin history, I should say.
Outside of Coruscant, I couldn't think. I think there's another bloke, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
You're trying to think of it last week. And
It's been 2 weeks and I still don't know.
And then moving into the back row, I had Tyson Frizzell. I think he's been lights out for Newcastle, even though they've been on a bit of a slide.
Yep.
Then Isaiah Yeo at lock. The other back rower, this is hard because I had Angus Crichton penned down. Mm-hmm. I've gone with Wade Graham from the Sharks.
Is he healthy?
I think he should be available. He has been
concussions, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was him and Dugan have both been struggling with concussions this year.
Yeah. So I had Wade Graham, and then I've got in brackets, if he's unavailable, Pangai Jr. to make his debut for the Blues. Another one of those hard. He's built for Origin, just tough as fuck.
Before you get to your bench, so I had Frizzell and Turbo, so other Turbo.
Jake Turbo
in there. I did have Yo on my bench.
So I've got Jake Turbo on my bench.
There you go. We've switched him in and out. But then, that other who starts second row was so hard for me to pick. Because they're just those Radley we just talked about, who's out. And then Crichton, of course, also being out. I put Cameron Murray there as a question mark, but again, do I pick him from South the way they're playing?
Well, he won't be available, I don't think.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah. And then my bench, I have Jack Whiten as the 14.
Same here.
Would have been Pap, but his concussion issues.
Yeah. I think he'd like Whiten more for his size as well because you can play him anywhere in the back line and you can play him everywhere but prop. So
hooker.
You play hooker? Like, come on. His back's probably not that tight. He can bend down and pick the ball up.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I'd already mentioned Jakey Turbo, and then I had Daniel Safidi. I think he's been quite good for the Knights, and Regan Campbell-Gillard been very good for the Eels.
The exact same here. Did you have an 18th? If you're going to pick an 18th, who?
No, I actually didn't have an 18th.
Because you got to remember, the 18th man would be the medical sub.
Ah, correct.
So they could play. So like Walsh is my Smokey. If someone gets knocked out and he becomes your 18th man,
so I got to pick one off the top of my head. Who do you need?
I'd start with the guy.
I went a lot of middle forwards, so maybe you need another back rower.
The guy I had on my list, another centre. Starts with a Matt, ends with a Burton.
Is it Matt Burton?
Yes. Because I think he can play. He's a specialist 5'8".
Yep.
Plays in the centres.
Plays centre,
got
killing
size.
it at centre. It's probably big enough to play as a back rower and make some tackles.
I think he's young, of course.
Yep.
Get him in and around the squad. 18th man. If he does have to come in, that's my Smokey there. There's even talk he might even make it in the squad. So Latrell maybe misses out and he plays centre, because he's been that dominant and Latrell's only just come back.
Yep.
I don't see it happening, but there is that chat floating around.
Anyways, Origin, how good?
It's
creeping up. We better get stuck into round 12, a big start.
So having said that and how things are going, probably half these blokes will be suspended by the end of this week. So we'll have to do this all over again.
Melbourne currently lead. Brisbane 28-0 up there at Suncorp. Yeah. They've won their last 8 games, 13 plus. It looks like it's about to become 9.
Yeah, let's probably talk about this. I think it's Thursday night footy. We've just come back from half time. They've scored 2 tries already since the halftime break. I think all of us would have picked Storm in this game.
Yep.
They would have been heavy favourites tip-wise.
$1.10 and $7, I think.
Yeah. So, right. Adokar scored another one, so his try scoring's up to 15.
That means our multis are looking good.
There you go.
Spruce Moose up there in Cairns.
Can you grab a list of try scorers for us? The Cheese did go off for a HIA. He's back there. He did score a try to start with. I think they've lost one of their second rowers to HIA. That is the Storm. But I don't think it's one of their regulars as the Storm turn the ball over. Brisbane have looked pretty average as they have done all season. No sin binnings so far in this game.
The Fox has 14 so far, so that'd make it 15, which is pretty impressive
through
12 rounds.
Can you get a list of scorers in this game for me, or I can pull it up?
In this game? If you keep talking, I can.
I just want to quickly run through who has scored tries so far in this game.
Yep.
The half pairings for Brisbane's, again, Milford's back, and now but Kelly is partnering him. So
have they had the same halves played 2 weeks in a row?
They have.
Once.
They have, but I think this is like their 7th or 8th combination.
Like different combinations, which is wild. And then to think that Carmichael might come into the equation.
Yeah, Carmichael could play next week is a chat, because Milford's very much on the outer. They're not going to re-sign him or anything like that. He's done at the club. They've said that. They're looking at Adam Reynolds. They've got Adam Reynolds. Staggs is the 7 and 6. They're looking at Hines, who's killing it for Storm, as possibly be their one, and pisses Sarko off, as we talked about last week. And
I wonder what they do with the Sarko there, because he's a good winger. I just don't think he's a 1. And then his goal kicking is quite good as well. So maybe something to consider. You asked for try scorers. The Cheese had the first one.
Yep.
Old Tui Kami got over. The Fox, George Jennings and Cooper Johns.
Oh, Cooper Johns got one, yeah. And
who's that?
And
oh,
bleeding
my goodness.
out.
Someone is split and fucking pissing out blood.
Yeah, so Brisbane have just scored the first hit back, and he's
goodness gracious.
He's bleeding out of like both eyes.
Yeah, so this is why it's not a game for everyone. Like that is.
He's 14, so he's off the bench. You got the list there? And
you really are giving up on your Broncos, haven't you?
Well, they lost. They had to rule out one of the
Hetherington.
Kennedy, I think, had to be ruled out today.
Kobe Hetherington, that is.
Yes, and
it's friendly fire.
It's
friendly fire.
Who's that guy? Is it
Flegler?
No, Tarpon. The hookers. Turpin. The hookers come across, need him square in the above his left eye, and it's split it right open
on the brow there.
Yeah, brow bleeds like anything. and they cleaned him up, but he had blood everywhere. That'd probably be his first try in the NRL as well.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah,
It's one he may or may not remember.
I did get a members.
Yeah, I think
okay.
Joseph is here. Hopefully he's got beer because we've got this and then one more. So
He said he's just packing up and he's on his way. So there we go. He'll be here for AFL.
Coming straight in for the AFL.
Straight in for AFL.
Yeah.
Do you think Brisbane win from here? No. They've hit back.
The live market have them at $251.
Oh,
Let's call them up.
yes, sneaky dollar on that one.
Melbourne suspended. The line is 34, down from 40 after this try.
Ooh,
Well, that's live.
yeah, it's live, of course.
Yeah.
Nico Hines, speaking of him, he was brilliant last week. He had 13 tackle busts, 206 run meters.
They smoked the Raiders. They showed up for the first half and then play second, as they usually do.
Well, yeah, they just can't do anything in the second half.
10-12 at half time and nothing in the second half. There's bigger problems there at
Indeed.
Canberra. Where do we have that?
We'll get that.
Is
get
that
to that in a
new?
second.
Oh, that's in the Canberra bit. Yep, keep going. We'll talk about Melbourne.
Yes. Cooper Johns. He's so much like his old man. They
Finally getting a run.
Yeah,
he's got Hughes and Munster playing in front of them, so it's a bit hard.
Indeed. And then like Hines would probably slot into the halves before he would. But
Yes.
he played really well last week. And he's exactly like his old man.
Just imagine that we're just talking about Melbourne's death. They're just like they're
they're
five deep.
They play their reserve grade side and
they're still top four.
Good. Yeah, that's like they talk about NRL expansion. Just make Penrith and Melbourne reserves be the expansion teams. They'll get some wins.
Yeah.
So Nico, very good, and Cooper. They interviewed him after the game and
Get stuck into his dad.
straight into his old man saying he's hobbling around with his stupid walking stick and he goes, I don't know why his back's crook. He never made a tackle. Like you can just tell he's just like his old man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think him and his brother and his old man. I think the mum as well, Trish. They do their own podcast and just pay the fuck out of each other.
Yeah.
So
I've listened to their podcast. It's pretty funny.
yeah. After you've listened to On The Esky,
Yes,
get into a bit of that. Let's move into tomorrow night's
Let's
games.
run through the footy. We're already 50 minutes deep on the NRL.
Yeah,
we talked about American sports, but yeah.
That's right. North Queensland, New Zealand Warriors.
It is kicks off Indigenous round, of course.
Yes.
For round 12.
We've got the Indigenous jerseys there.
All wearing it. So
In line with Reconciliation Week.
Yep.
For Australia. Yep.
Public holiday on Monday in the ACT. Worked that out this morning. Some of the boys were like, you want to play golf on Monday? I was like, what the fuck? Like, you guys all got Monday off. We're like, oh. Then I was like,
public holiday.
Yeah, book me in. I'll go hit 30 over with you.
Let's talk about Cowboys and the Warriors.
Yeah, Cowboys, Warriors. It's look, two teams that may or may not be pushing for the 8. They're both 5 and 6. Cowboys coming off that win against the Knights that we watched live last week, despite their 2 sin binnings.
Yep.
Murray Taulagi, winger for the Cowboys, had a hattie, 10 tackle bust, 192 run meters. Great coming out game for him. And then I suppose the big story was Jason Taumalolo and Lachlan Burr both suspended for a week for their high shots.
So both will miss this game.
Yep. The Warriors beat the Tigers, also despite a couple of sin binnings. Again, it's kind of interesting considering the emphasis that we've been putting on sin binnings, turning games into, being unwatchable. When it happens for the team that's already winning, it makes it more of a spectacle.
I think it just shows probably some of the different levels of where teams are at the moment.
Indeed. Well, both those games. The Tigers weren't really ever in that game against the Warriors, and same with the Knights. Like if they didn't have those sin binnings, they could have been blowout games.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yeah.
We spoke about Reece Walsh has been in excellent form. Broncos fans must be shaking their heads. And another bloke sort of flying under the radar again because he's off to rugby next year, but he's always good. RTS, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, 272 run meters, try assist and a meat pie.
Big loss to the NRL.
But you know what's interesting? He's gone out to the wing a fair bit to sort of let Reece
to play fullback.
play as a one.
Because he's doing the full mentor,
complete mentor, like handover kind of thing as the Storm just bust over through that man, Nico Hines. What do we think here, boys? These are two teams that love to fuck your tips, to put it eloquently.
Yes.
Up there in Townsville. I've gone the Cowboys just on the home ground advantage.
I've picked the Warriors, and it's probably if they're like a stock that goes up and down, so they should be down now. There should be a pullback where the Warriors lose because they won last week.
Yeah.
But I've packed the Warriors purely on the fact that the Cowboys have got their two blokes suspended, and one of those being the $1 million man, the biggest guy, the best guy at their club.
Yep.
And they were terrible without him with the broken hand. So I've picked the Warriors here.
I imagine the odds reflect that. Are the Cowboys slight outsiders there, Monks?
Yep. Yeah. So I have backed in the Warriors as well. They are favourites at $1.71. Cowboys are out at $2.15.
Wouldn't be much of a line.
No, very close match. The line's 2.
See, you know what is weird when they do 2, like it's not a half line.
Yeah.
So if they win by 2, which is very common in league, that does it void your bet or?
You're asking the wrong bloke.
Love to punt this bloke over here, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you talked about New Zealand's up and downs. Last 5 games for North Queensland is a win-loss, win-loss, win.
There you go.
They're both due a loss, so it's going to be a draw.
Could be.
They're both going to lose.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2 losers.
Before you get to that, I just want to mention Nico Hines. He just scored again. His first try in this game, 2 try assists, 3 line breaks. He kicks goals, gets meters.
And he's a fucking backup.
Yeah, but he's in Brisbane, and there's all the talk about they haven't offered him a contract. I think if Darren and the board sitting there, they're going.
Oh, they would love to, but
I think they'd be like, all right, we'll send him a contract and say, hey, you're going to come play for us.
Yeah, but it might be a bidding war because there's rumours that the Dragons might be interested as well.
Duffney's on the
poor
out.
Duff man. I think he's all right. I like the Duff man. And then there were rumours that Cody Ramsey was going to play as the one, but. Look, if they could land this bloke, wouldn't mind that. And the Dragons love recruiting Queenslanders at the moment. See what happens. Speaking of the Dragons, they play West in a scintillating Friday night matchup. two weeks in a row.
This is a late game as well.
Yeah, it's the Channel 9 game. But anyways, Paul Vaughan and Josh Kerr, they went to the judiciary. Monks, can you chase out the teams, see what happened with them? Yep. I tell you what.
I'll check and see if they're in that list.
I tell you what, we talk about goal kicking and, Munster being a bit ordinary. Tell you who's ordinary, Corey fucking Norman. He's kicking this week.
Is he as bad as Munster? That's the question.
I think this year he's been 50%. So coming from a bloke that, probably wouldn't put it straight over the black dot from 10 metres straight in front. But yeah, they're definitely missing Zach Lomax's kicking. They would have won that game last week against Cronulla had they could have capitalised on that. Obviously lost in golden time, extra point.
So Josh Kerr got a week, and I can't see anything for Paul Vaughan.
So I think Vaughan's starting.
Yeah, I think he just got a fine for memories, which is good. Like just about our best forward.
He's the only starting forward left.
Yeah, pretty much. The Tigers went close against the Warriors, as we mentioned. Bit of a dud game to get on a Friday night. Monks, if you wouldn't mind the odds, I've obviously tipped my Dragons because I'm a sucker for punishment. Yep. To be honest, I do think that a heavily depleted team last week did do a good job in pushing Cronulla right to the death. So that's why I have gone to St George here.
Yeah, I've picked the Tigers. Looking at that.
They're favourites, aren't they?
Yep, Tigers are favourites.
Wow.
They are favourites.
I don't know why I've picked the Tigers. I'm just looking at it. It was like my early week haze of just going, yep, Tigers.
Full strength, essentially.
Yep. Yeah. So, they are favourites.
Well, the reason I have the reserve grade side. So, yeah, that's my reasoning.
James Roberts back in the side. He slots in the wing. Dewey playing out of his skin, stays in the centres. Mbai playing 6. Brooks hasn't been bad playing centres. Luciano Leilua, he's come along really well.
The better of the Leilua brothers.
At the moment, yes.
Brothers? I think they're brothers.
Yeah, they're brothers, yeah.
They're related. I knew that much.
Now they're related because they're
brothers.
Their mum and dad is the same.
Quick maths.
Monkey, odds in your tip if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, so my tip, I have backed the Dragons in as well. They are outside at $2.40. Tigers are favourites are $1.55.
Any lines?
Yep, line is 4. So another close-ish one, which probably reflected by the odds, but yeah.
Let's move forward.
I don't think we need to talk too much about this game. How much do you want to talk about Penrith?
I want to talk a fair bit about Penrith, and I don't want to talk about Canterbury. So Penrith are 11-0. They smacked South 56-12.
Belted Souths, who were fourth on the ladder?
Yeah, I think going into the game, they might have been third. No, they would have been fourth. Yeah. Anyways, was kind of using it as an excuse after they got pumped 50-0 by the Storm a few weeks ago. Was saying, no Latrell, no Adam Reynolds, SOO wasn't playing in that game, Cameron Murray wasn't playing in that game. So we're kind of going, look, maybe if those 4 guys come back, it's a bit different.
But it's their first game back.
Well, jeez. I tell you what, that Penrith Panthers side looks like a well-oiled machine. We spoke about Matt Burton and Isaiah Yeo. We've both got them close, if not playing Origin.
In the squad.
Burton, hat-trick.
Yep.
And Yeo played pretty well. And both of them were playing in front of their home crowd out at Dubbo. I was telling you boys during the week that, Penrith very well represented out in the Central West there. They
got a very big nursery. So.
Yeah, well, that's right. A big catchment area. We were in Bathurst for a wedding on the weekend. They got a massive Penny Panthers club out there. A lot of connection to the Central West. So it is nice to see the NRL move a game out there at Dubbo and had it packed out. They probably had 10,000 out there. Sunny afternoon. And I want to just talk about Nathan Cleary. I know we talk about him every week. We spoke last week about him having the fantasy record. He followed it up with another blinder, 2 tries, 10 goals, 2 try assists, tackle pass, fucking kick meters. And you know what stands like his ball playing is excellent. His kicking is excellent. The way he reads and reacts to the game. But the way he takes on the line.
Yeah, he's ball running.
His ball running. It's like, it's similar to Whiten last year when
he doesn't have the size or the strength, but he's got a little bit more footwork and he's sneaky strong.
He's got to be the strongest 7 getting around at the moment. I can't think of anyone that you give them the ball.
Probably no one playing 7 as big as him. DCE might be close to them size, but I think he's small.
But I don't think you see DCE busting over the line like Cleary does. But I just wanted to point that out because that's how he scored his 2 tries on the weekend, was just going, fuck it. I'll take his on 5 metres out and run over your back rowers.
Yeah, definitely got the chin for it.
Yeah, indeed. The people's chin. The one thing, we're watching the Melbourne Storm right now. We're talking about the Penrith Panthers. Is this season done? Like, is this
they put 50 on them here? So.
This game, Who
this
cares?
Game's done, we were talking about this a little bit last week.
We were alluding to it, and my kind of
we're going to get our first sin, Minnie?
My kind of thinking was penalty.
Nothing in that, but
penalty. Explaining it.
It's going to report.
Not a high shot. Not a high shot.
Not even reported.
Yeah. I don't report.
Us watching the game in mute, so we don't get sued for all the money we don't have. Last week I was kind of thinking, maybe a South or a Parramatta, which is the next game, might be there or thereabouts. Manly on their day.
Manly's probably the dark horse, I think, in this, because we've both been talking about Souths and Parramatta, and we'll talk about that game that's coming up next. But South's got 50 burger put on them. I think Parramatta just got spanked as well
by Manly.
So that's if they're going to compete with these 2 teams who are then spanking everyone else. It's for mine. It's Storm and Penrith. It's going to be a repeat of last year. We'll see how far they go before Penrith loses a game. But those Turbo Eagles, we keep talking about them. They're so different. They've gone from
being one of the worst teams ever,
bottom 4 side to a top 4 side. Like it's crazy how one bloke can change that club. It just shows how good he's in.
I think that's their problem as well over Origin.
They might lose
with him and Cherry Evans.
I think they're sneaking in the 8 though. They'll be in the 8. And it probably doesn't matter where. They'll be happy if they're in the 8, and then I think they'll shock a few teams and they'll make a run.
I agree. They're 6 and 5, so maybe they've probably already dropped too many games to finish top 4. You'd think. But the way Tommy Turbo's playing, who knows?
If they do the Penrith and win out from here, they'll be 1. So
they'll be 2 behind Penrith. The odds, this is unbelievable. You see these kind of odds first round.
Are they $1.01?
You got it. It's a game of rugby league and it's $1.01. That speaks volumes to the state of the league right now.
Yeah. So if you've got a cool $1 million sitting around and want to make 10 grand,
I was going to ask you, if I put $1 million on it, how much am I getting? 10 G.
Yeah, back in the Panthers at $1.01. Canterbury's out at 21.
Check out this for a line. This is unheard of.
50 plus?
No, not quite there, but
48.
No. It's not in the 40s, but it's very unusual for a rugby league line.
Yeah. Pulling back from the live line for Storm Broncos, they are sitting at 35.5.
I've never seen one in the 30s. I've never seen it.
And you'd take it because you know they're going to put 50 on them.
Probably.
It depends. They sit the boys down at half time and be like,
that could be something.
Like Cleary's going to play Origin. It's like, you play 40 minutes, we're up by 40.
And his
now.
old man's a fucking coach. Like, he might go,
come sit down.
Come on. Yeah.
All right, so get this. So the line is 35.5.
Mm-hmm.
Total match points, 50.5. Do you reckon Canterbury has any chance of scoring points?
Fuck no. We're talking
20
about
points,
they might score a try.
They scored 0 against Penrith at the start of the year. So,
and we were talking about Penrith last week. They concede, on average 7 points a game.
Yeah.
That is fucking mental.
Melbourne just scored again, so they've gone up to 38. They'll kick to come, and Hines has been good, so it's probably 40-12 in that game.
Did I say before Melbourne 8 games in a row, 13 plus? I think I might have about to become 9.
Yeah. They're good. Like, answer your question, Penrith and Storm, it's a 2-horse race so far in the NRL.
South Para, both coming off losses, both coming off reality checks, I think.
Both need to show something if they're going to compete with the previous two teams we've just been talking about.
Yes. The tips on this will be very interesting, I think. Monkey, if you wouldn't mind bringing up some odds.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say Souths need a really big game because I think there's a bunch of boys there kind of pushing their Origin stakes, like if they want to be in that squad. Like we think Latrell's going to be in there, but we think Cookie as 2. Like Cody Walker's probably going to miss out and not be 6 again.
He might make the squad.
He might, but again, like he needs a good game to show his potential to be in that team. Para, on the other hand, same thing. They've got a few Queenslanders in there. Like we haven't talked about Gutho, Blake Ferguson, they're all guys.
None of us mentioned
how stacked is the New South Wales backline? They can pick whoever they want at the moment.
So much depth.
Yeah. Whereas we're talking about playing a second rower as a stand-up for Queensland.
Well, they did it last year and they won.
It's like, worst team in history of Origin. So come on.
Whoever said that needs to fucking slap.
It needs to get beaten up, and we'll get to that later as well.
It was Gallen, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And several 100,000 other New South Wales fans. Monkey, the odds on this, I think, will be quite interesting.
I think it'll be sneaky close, not sneaky, it's going to be close.
Ish, yeah. So Souths are favourites at $1.65. Penrith are out at $2.25.
That's not bad value for Parramatta.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I think I picked Para.
I picked Para. Souths have conceded 106 points in 2 of their last 3 games. The one in the middle.
Did we look at Para and they hadn't beaten anyone good?
Yes, that was Macca last week saying that they were fraudulent.
They'd only beaten
they beat the Storm, which is an excellent team to beat. But outside of that, they hadn't beaten anyone.
Yeah, right at the start of the year as well, so they haven't beaten anyone. But they are still 9-2. Like they've gone on a good run. Souths are 8-3. They're both, we're talking about 3 and 4 on the ladder, so they will. It'll be a good match, but they need to show something to at least make us consider they're going to have chances in the finals.
South's defence for me is a big problem. 50 against the Storm, 56 in the weekend against the Panthers, even 22 in the win against Cronulla. That's what's quick maths, 128 points in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think Wayne was asked the question about why wasn't Benji playing. Like, does he add something to that? And Wayne's just like, well, Benji's not real known for his defence, and that's our problem at the moment is defence.
He said, I didn't want to embarrass him.
Yeah.
That was the words that he said. Sure. What's the total match points in this? I'd be very interested in the under-overs.
Could be a high-scoring game.
Yeah. Well, South are leaky. Para can score them. South can score them.
Yeah. So I'll go over the line real quick. So the line probably suggests it's going to be a closer game than the head-to-head. So line's 3.5, and then total match points is 50.
That's a high.
50.5.
That's high. But
so expecting a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah. I think one of these squads scores 30 and the other one scores 20. Yeah, I can see it happening. But
that actually brings you half a point short there.
True.
Yep. A nice 31-20 score line. Very common, that one. Monks, your tip, please.
Yep. So I backed Para as well.
That's a curse if anyone.
Depending on what
Australia's going good for COVID.
And only because I've got, well, not that there's any doubt, but I've got a memory of a goldfish. We've all picked Penrith in the last round as well.
Oh, yeah.
we all pick Penrith every week at this rate.
Yeah, just making sure it's out there on
Yeah, I didn't have an aneurysm in the last 2 minutes. Jesus.
Next game, Roosters are taking on Canberra in the Central Coast. Both sides, of course, coming off losses. Canberra, as we mentioned before, losing to the Storm. Who did the Roosters lose to? They lost to Brisbane. And in a bit of a shock upset.
Yeah, big time.
As we mentioned, they had a few sin binnings, and they just, I think they looked off in that game. Maybe it's just Sam Walker. We've been talking about him all month. He's been excellent. He did go close to scoring a couple of tries in this, but they're banged up. They're injured. They've now got more guys suspended. So they're doing well to stick on and be like I think they're 5th overall at the moment, or 6th. At 7-4 at this stage.
5th, I think, ahead of Manly.
Yeah, just ahead of Manly. So they're doing well to hold on to that position, but they're probably on the downtrend at this point.
Yeah, they're too hurt, I think. And now with suspensions with no Radley and Crichton. Something that was interesting last week was the debut of Joseph Suwali.
Finally forced into the squad.
Yeah, I think he's back at 21 this week, but it's unbelievable that he's 17 and the size of him. He doesn't look out of place in first grade. Nothing to write home about, but didn't look bad.
No, didn't embarrass himself.
Tell you who kind of looked bad for the first time or a bit absent was Sammy Walker,
And it's probably because they ran Pang Jr. at him the entire game. It's just like, here, make 40 tackles on this big bloke, which was a good game plan. That's a game plan you kind of wanted if you're Brisbane, and it did work.
Yeah, now you're not allowed to defend your halfback.
Yes.
What about Chance Nickel Klokstad? He's going to have some neck surgery. That's not good signs.
No,
because fucking with your neck.
Yeah, well, he had the injured neck and he'd been out for probably a month and a half by that point. Yeah. The idea being like, let's just try to rehab and it will heal over time.
Conservative management, they call it in the physio world.
Yes, and I thought maybe that was the reason because, hey, we want to get you back for this year and for this season. But, the way the season's going and with all the news that the Raiders, maybe they've said, it's not doing exactly what we want. We don't want to risk it. Go get your surgery. I'm putting a line through the Raiders season at this point with all the other stuff that's going on.
Well, the Raiders put a line through themselves.
That's right. That's what I thought. The Nickel Klokstad getting neck surgery kind of maybe puts it to me that they're like, I don't think we're going to be anything special this year. Go get your surgery and we'll come back and try again next year. Which kind of leads
very disappointing because a lot
they've got a good squad.
Yeah, a lot of pundits had them pushing for a comp this year, and
which probably
making the 8 from here would be a good result.
Yes, and that kind of leads into our next point with Georgie Williams was released immediately from his contract,
and there was a fucking circus around this, wasn't there?
Everyone, every member, from the team, from every angle, people talking about it. So originally he was not happy. Oh, he was not happy. His wife's pregnant. They were talking about, they want to go home back to England, release me at the end of the year. He wasn't overly happy about being booted out because he wanted to be released at the end of the year. He wasn't training this week. He wasn't going to play this week. Of course, he's on his second year or third year deal. Hooper, I think, came out and reported that he'd asked his manager at the start of the year to look at clubs closer to the beach. I want the full Australian lifestyle experience. I don't know if that was...
That sounds like porcupines to me. If you're from the north of England, Canberra should feel like home. It was fucking freezing.
Exactly. Or if you wanted the Australian lifestyle, Canberra's probably not where you go. But
if you want the north of England lifestyle, there's a bunch of pale idiots that drink piss and sit. It's pretty much exactly the same.
But then that beer's cold though.
Yeah, and then
these ones are questionable.
Yeah. I think the Raiders made a statement today saying, with his state where he was at, it just made more sense for us as a club to get rid of him. They didn't use "get rid of him" as the words, but they were looking at the club and the club's future, which I think is very pointed words. And I'll get to my point in a minute. Hodgson came out as well to kind of supporting him. It's like, hey, he's a really good bloke. He's busting his balls every week at training. So it was never about his performance. I think he wanted out of his contract. He wanted to go back to England. He was looking to go back at the end of the year, which he didn't want to play, but he wanted to get paid. So there's a bit of that floating around. But I think the main reason, and with the Raiders statement today about saying, hey, we want to focus on the club and the club's future. They want that money. He's $600K a year salary. They need that now so they can jump back into the halfback market and pick up one of the halfbacks before they all get signed away. Because we are seeing the carousel not slowing down. It is still moving, but guys have got spots for next year. Sean Johnson, who they tried to get before he went to the Cronulla, is off contract. He could be an option to come down to Canberra. So I think they need that money now and want to get a bloke signed under the salary cap ready to go for next year, instead of trying to wait till the end of the year and then make that decision where maybe they're picking the scraps, whereas they could get a premier player now. That's my kind of reasoning. I think their statement today with, we're all about the club, we're focusing on the club's future, that's the direction they've gone.
What about this game? Next year aside and the rest of the season aside.
Raiders stink.
Decimated Roosters? No. I agree. I've gone the Roosters. I think it might be closer than the bookies are suggesting. The Roosters, we're talking about the Dragons playing a reserve grade side. This is fucking pretty close for them.
Yeah.
Odds, please, Monks, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so Roosters are favourites. They are $1.25. Canberra Raiders are out at $4. So not much there.
There could be a sneaky upset in this, but they need to put it all together. And I think with everything that's happened this week and all the news, they haven't been playing well with all the other stuff that's happening. Can't score points in the second half. I think they scored 2 tries in the last month and a half in the second half. It's been nothing. They're really struggling. So I don't see them winning this at all. Roosters by a fair bit.
Line is 11.5.
I won't be punting on this.
No, I won't be punting on this.
I've tipped the Roosters. I think it might be close. I think this might be close.
Well, I think, with George gone, Josh Hodgson still coming off the bench.
Yeah, Papali's still out.
Still out. Yeah, it's
Papali'i, I should say.
It's White Ton's team. And I wouldn't surprise me if he has a huge game in this, again, trying to push for that Origin selection. Don't forget about me. It's his side now. Those other two blokes are not in the starting 13, so he's going to have to take it over and then put that team on his back and carry him. So we'll see what the Jack Whiten show can show this week. But I still think they lose.
Cronulla, Gold Coast, 2 o'clock Sunday up at Coffs Harbour. Cronulla broke their losing streak, 13-12 win over the Dragons in the Southern Derby. And Gold Coast beat the hapless Canterbury Bulldogs last week, 30-20. Josh Dugan, Hiroti and Wilton all cop a week's suspension. And Chad Townsend, after kicking a game-winning field goal, gets dropped. So they've gone Moylan and Sean Johnson in the halves. David Fafita comes back for the Titans. I've gone the Gold Coast Titans here. I think, Cronulla really limped to beat a reserve grade Dragons side last week.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
second string squad and they won by 1 point. They're tanking for no reason, and they've got a bunch of big name guys making money and not putting out.
Yep.
Maybe Wade Graham has a big game, as you kind of alluded to push his Origin selection. There's a lot of guys that need to kind of, lift this week if they want to even be considered in that conversation. But still, you're right. The Sharks aren't that good. Gold Coast have a better roster overall. Gold Coast have been up and down.
That's a concern, I guess.
They need to beat the Dogs. They let Doggy score 20 points on them, so they're probably not on top 8 side at this point, which is probably disappointing for them. But they need to find some form.
Yeah, there or thereabouts. Amongst odds.
Yep, so Titans are favourites, $1.65. Sharks are out at $2.25. We have a line of 3.5, so
I'm taking Gold Coast with that line.
Yeah.
Yep. I have tipped the Gold Coast as well,
Newcastle Manly for the final game of the week at McDonald Jones Stadium. Newcastle coming off that loss to the Cowboys, as mentioned before. The Cowboys did have 2 sin binnings, as we said. Ponga and Bradman Best are set to return this weekend.
Yeah, so Ponga named at 1, Best at 4. They're massive inclusions.
Huge inclusion. I think Best was a late scratch from last week, so it's good to get him back. Manly, of course, upsetting Parramatta 28-16.
We all tipped this except for you.
Yeah.
But Mako on the app actually tipped Parramatta, despite calling them fraudulent on the app, on the podcast, I should say. So,
a little bit of a misdirection there.
Yeah, a little bit. They can't be too fraudulent if you tipped them. And Josh Schuster, he ended up playing 6. We thought Cade Cuss might have done that. I think he was hurt. He looks very good. He's like built like a back rower and plays the ball like a 6. And what about this? This is the story of the 2021 season. Debutant for the Sea Eagles, Carl Lawton. He busts over with his second touch ever in first grade, and then he gets chucked in the bin 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Brad Parker, you seen this bloke? Red hair, red beard, Hank Scorpio, chat getting around, Simpsons cult hero.
Well, they had Fatty play for.
Yeah, but Fatty, not quite. Like Hank is like a good-looking man. You know, he's got a trim beard.
Yeah.
The body's not quite the same, so they're likening Brad Parker to Hank Scorpio. Shout out to any Simpsons fans listening. And the man, we referenced him before. Does he play in the centres? Does he play on the wing? Does he play one?
You put him in your squad
for the Blues. Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's playing somewhere. Tommy Turbo, 323 run meters, a try, 2 try assists. I think it's him and Nathan Cleary, and then Daylight till the 3rd best player in the league based on form.
I think I'd put Munster in that conversation when he's healthy, but he of course he hasn't been playing. So, but you know, Cleary and Munster, that's going to be the origin battle. Maybe for the next decade. Like that could be it.
This could be a Johns Lockyer kind of situation.
Exactly. But, you know, you throw Turbo in that conversation, you just look at where that Manly squad was to where he's back and where they are now. Like, it's so different. And he has just been so dominant. That'd be his 7th try so far since he's been back. It's been 2-2-2 and
more,
maybe even more. Like,
I can bring that up.
But 2 try assists as well. Like he's a ball playing. He hands it off
for a
as well.
fullback. Like he shouldn't be doing that.
No, he's so good. So who we pick?
8 tries for Tommy Turbo.
There you go.
Yep.
So who we're picking in this one?
Yeah, Manly. Newcastle on the way down. Manly shooting up. I think the odds would probably reflect that, and I think they do this.
Newcastle
quite
almost back at full strength, so they should be better. They've got a good squad. Like you look at the pack, you look at the back line.
The spine.
Like,
Pong is good, and Bradley's come along really. Actually, no, the spine's not the issue. It's the halves.
Yeah. And they've got no one now. Green's gone.
Yeah, Kurt Mann and Phoenix Crossland aren't taking your side to the grand final.
Yeah, and everything feeds off those guys. So it doesn't matter if you've got the best forward pack or the best back line. They're struggling.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, they're a middle pack team, and that's where they're at the moment. So I don't see them beating the Eagles, who have a bunch of guys pushing. The Turbos definitely pushing for Origin selection. Another big game incoming from them.
So I suppose we want odds.
Odds please, and your tip too. I just thought it was
dreamy eyes.
Yeah, we have to kill any more time before our AFL expert arrives with his floating head.
All right, so Manly are favourites, $1.25. Newcastle Knights are out at $4.
20-point line? No, maybe a little less. 16.
Close-ish.
Line is 11.5.
Yeah,
I have also backed Manly in.
What's Tommy Turbo anytime try scorer?
Anytime.
Low.
$1.50.
Yeah, that's low.
Yeah, that is a bit low. That's cash though.
Against Newcastle,
It's not quite putting $1 million on Penrith Panthers with $1.01, but
probably not. How about for total match points of 51.5?
Jeez.
Well, they're asking a lot. I don't think Newcastle put up enough.
Yeah.
Newcastle can score a few points. I guess it's if Manly can.
It depends on what Ponga shows up.
Yeah.
You know, the whole flu game a couple of weeks ago,
unreal.
Yeah, she's. Well, again, Turbo versus Ponga. That could be the next 10 years of fullbacks for the Origin. So, you know, superstars of our game. It would be interesting to see how they compete against each other. But Manly for mind.
We better move into the AFL. We've been trying to stretch this out as long as possible.
Before we get into the games, we can talk about
There's a bit of
The
news,
COVID, yeah.
Because AFL it's not predominantly a Victorian sport, but it's spread out across the country. But a lot of the games funnel through Victoria and Melbourne.
Yeah.
The big one, of course, the Doggies had, I think one of the players was at a hotspot, so they had to quarantine. They all tested negative. Then I think it came out the D's had a player, so they are all getting tested again. They're looking at postponing this game completely because of that.
It's within 24 hours. I don't think. Can you do that?
Can they turn it around? And we talked about Curse. We apologise.
Negative. How hard is it?
I think that's what they're gonna do, but there's also they could be worried that he'll test negative now in 2 days, he'll have it, then everyone's got it, and then we lose the D's for a month while they recover.
But I mean, they would already be training together. It
could be too late.
Too late.
Yeah,
too little, too late.
So as we mentioned, lockdown for 7 days. So no crowds at AFL games in Victoria. I think some of the clubs that were playing outside of Victoria left early in the week, then hanging around so they could get out and get into the borders. This will be interesting what they're going to do with guys going to Brisbane to play at the Gabba and Western Australia, because both of those states have closed borders to Melbourneites, whether they get some special treatment, which I don't think they did last year at all. Rough times, because we listed it here, game of the year, Bulldogs versus Melbourne, and it's not happening.
It will happen, I think. It'll happen in front of an empty crowd. We'll come back to it.
I think it's going to be postponed. It'll be later in the year.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll postpone it until Macacut.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens.
Long drive this evening, isn't it? Moving forward to Saturday, Collingwood take on Geelong at the G. The Pies, they went so close. They were 1 point away from knocking off Port Adelaide. Would have meant a lot to Collingwood and ex-president Eddie McGuire if they got that win. Brodie Grundy, he had there was a 50-50 call at the end where it could have been paid a push in the back. There's probably umpire's discretion there. But outside of that, he had a blinder, 33 hit-outs, 23 disposals, 2 goals, and Darcy Moore always tidy at the back. Geelong, 34-point winners against the Suns. We're thinking it might have been a bit of a bloodbath, but this Gold Coast side kept it respectable. Joel Selwood, he got it, the old DeLorean. He jumped in the time machine and he went back to his sort of mid-20s self. 39, not bad from the old bloke. And going from an old bloke to a young bloke, Quinton Narkle, he's come along very nice. He had 34 disposals. He's played about 5 or 6 games, I think, in his this is his 4th year in the league, but he's looking very capable at AFL level. I think he might be a genuine first grader. Thing is that he's rocking the all blonde, tie-dye, like a Ackermanis kind of look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Short or long?
Longer than Ackermanis. Okay. It just doesn't do it for me.
Nah, the surfer boy look.
Yeah. But look, his footy's been unreal.
Yeah, we had a note there to talk about crowds at Pies games because they've been down a fair bit. I guess the members are talking with their feet, not showing up to games.
Yeah, 23,000. I think there was something about a petition getting around as well for like an upheaval of the board, and it's an absolute mess.
They're not happy with being 2-8.
Yeah.
But having said that, no crowds this week, so
yeah, that's right. They're just
they're just 1 week ahead.
That's right. Here he is. Yeah.
There we go.
just in time. So
there we go.
Our AFL nuffy Joseph McMcGrath, he's arrived. We just had the longest rugby league section you could ever imagine. Just really stalling. And the man has bought some cold amber.
Well, I've got some good chat for the beers as well, so I'll let.
I think
Well,
you
sit
got to
down.
talk into the microphone for it to pop up.
I think we can hear him just, but yeah.
Sorry, it's been a while. Sorry.
Welcome. How are you?
Thanks, I'm well. Sorry, had some work commitments keeping me from the Esky, but
And you got
have no fear. Jeez, I've bottled put it on. This is a shit show. And we're back on.
Making an entrance.
Well, to be honest, Sean's lovely wife, Julie, was waiting for me. She said, I boiled the kettle just for you. I had 2 6-packs in my hand. I thought, well, fuck, I'm going to have the coffee now.
Yeah.
So.
hey, underrated. The coffee before getting on the beers, it's like a mild stimulant before the beers come in. It's really quite underrated.
It's going to do me wonders. But on the way here, I went to 3 separate bottle shops. It's 9:30 Thursday, our time filming. They're all closed. And I pulled up and I went, hang on, Peps and I. We're at a wedding celebrating love. Shout out Mitch and Keely on the weekend, and we were doing the cleanup. We were the last ones to leave.
You had the box at home, didn't you?
In the back of the car. I was like, oh, you built it. I had a couple of 6-packs, and it's Canberra. They stay fairly cold. Let me know how they go.
Colder than the ones that I brought.
There you go. So
that's hilarious.
A bit of good karma for good people.
I was speaking of what could have been bad karma, I was eyeing off that case because I left before a few of the boys, and I thought, oh, geez, I could chuck this in the back of the mind. No one would ever know.
No one will.
No one would ever
I ended up
know.
getting a couple of White Claws as well and everything. So we weren't too displeased. I think people just wanted to clear out more than do the cleanup. So but enough about our weekend. Let's talk about some sport, hey?
You want to talk about some Western Bulldogs?
Oh, well, fucking hell.
We're going to do our tips.
Can we finish up? We started talking about Pies and Geelong because we wanted to wait till you get here so we can talk about the Bulldogs.
Yep.
We've talked about all of it. Who we're picking, I think
Geelong.
Yeah, I think I've gone Geelong. Let me double check.
Geelong, Collingwood, Joseph.
I've gone Cats. Yes. Collingwood, reeling at the moment.
Yes.
I've gone Cats as well, so that's a curse. Yep. They are heavy favourites.
Reeks of a curse game, actually.
Yeah, so the favourites are $1.24. Collingwood are out at $4.10. If I bring up the line, it's 25.5.
See, I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole because
not after our bet of the week last week. Ever again. Well, we'll get to that very shortly. But God,
yeah, we didn't do wonders for AFL last week, did we?
No, we weren't too good. But
head to head's a bit of a mixed bag. So yeah, trouble.
Yeah.
Right now, with the position, you'd think, Pies reeling a bit, but.
Anyways, the game of the round, you were meant to be there.
Meant to be there, absolutely shattered. Shout out to everyone in Melbourne who's going through a lot worse. But first time I would have seen the Dogs for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to. Misso's a big Melbourne supporter. Dogs coming over 111-point victory. Oh, packed Marvel Stadium. All the eyes in Australia on the Dogs.
And you know whose fault it was?
Got it.
The
Good.
4 people sitting here.
Yeah, we fucked it. We fucked it.
The COVID not much in Australia right now.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games when you fuck over West Indian cricket. Or I think we got the Pommies a couple of times with the curse.
Yep.
This one hits home.
It does, doesn't it?
The curse hit real close to home. But
COVID is also
gutted. No 2 ways around it. I'm gutted.
Anyways, talk about the Dogs.
Hot dogs. Hottest of dogs. Hottest of dogs.
Your quick thoughts? Is this game going to happen?
Yeah.
This week?
If I was Gillon McLaughlin, I'd do a bye this round. What? Because it's starting buys. The way the AFL do it, they've got 18 teams. 6 teams have a bye over 3 weeks. So, it sort of rotates and then you only have a couple games a weekend. I don't know why I just don't go, okay, panic stations, let's just put a pin in this. Let's do the bye, shift everything back a week. I understand with grand finals, bookings and all that sort of stuff might be complicated, but, the amount of time, money, people invested in the fixture, it just makes sense to me. And now going forward with buys might get a little bit sticky. And I just was panicking coming from work then. Is the Hawthorn Gold Coast game now going ahead, I think? Yeah. It was canned, but now it's back on. So, all of this.
It's hour by hour updates at the moment.
And we were trying to get, looking at getting our tickets. We were sort of back and forth, but there was no information. The government's saying, 85% people, you'll be able to get in there. The word now is no fans, but the game's going ahead. Yeah. I don't see any way.
Well, they just reported an hour ago the Melbourne player that had visited that Tier 1 site they were worried about did test negative, as Monkey said. So
good. Then no more discussion.
That's a good out. Yeah.
For mine?
Sorry.
It smells of what happened last year where they played that first round with no fans, and obviously that was the peak of COVID. We really prayed to God that's not what's coming ahead of us. But just that weird, gross, empty stadium. And for this game, both teams 9-1.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Probably, head and shoulders above the rest of the comp, the chasing pack.
Yep.
To then, have an empty stadium where you would have had it rocking and being loud is so disappointing. But, look, fuck, it is what it is. It is going to be a ripping game, no matter what. Dogs, again, obviously coming off that massive win against St Kilda. Like, we're talking about a mismatch. That was...
You were worried. Yeah.
I said it last week. I said they'd never play well against St Kilda. St Kilda beat them in a final last year, so that shows you where both teams are at there. One team's taken off, the other one's dropped off.
A lot can change in, 9 months?
Yeah. It was an excellent hangover cure. We obviously came back from the wedding on Sunday, and I got to curl up on a doona, sit on the couch, and knowing the Dogs won by 20 goals. It's a good hangover cure, that one. Not really. I was hungover till this morning. But a bit of bad news coming out of the Dogs camp. Adam Treloar with that, fancy syndesmosis that sort of popped up. He's gone under the knife. He's gone under the knife. So it's very similar to Dangerfield's one that he's going through right now. It's probably the one position on the ground the Dogs can afford to lose an All-Australian midfielder when they've got 3 of them already running around there.
Yeah, that's right. But now Dunkley and Treloar.
But it just sort of means Bailey Smith goes into the middle a bit more, and he's been in sensational form. They've got Mitch Wallace running around the twos, Pat Lipinski to come back in. Like, the Dogs are in a really, really good shape at the moment with their lists.
Speaking of sensational midfielders, Jack McRae.
On fire,
41. Hasn't had a game under 30.
Yeah, this year, which never happened before, and then he upped it up. He didn't get a single coach's vote from the weekend. 41 touches. Rough. That's how well the Dogs are going at the moment.
Bontempelli was pretty good.
Oh man, he got 10. He got both coaches went 5. All right, we'll work out the rest later. But he is in sensational form. We're talking about last week. Too many blokes are taking Brownlow votes off him. Fuck, Liberatore McRae might get a lot of 2s and 1s, but when you're getting 3 every week, he signed obviously midweek for 4 more years, the skipper, so that takes him through to year 30. And on any other week, that'd be the sort of headline news for the whole week. But a couple of hours after that happened, they had to go into isolation. They had, all the games got called off. So I think you'd actually prefer that. He's not a big limelight guy, but he's an out-and-out superstar.
And speaking of taking votes off your teammates, jump across to the Ds. We were talking about Petrarca last week and how we were concerned about his teammates doing that to him. Obviously coming off a shock loss last week. And Petrarca, you look at, he had 32 and a goal, but then Clayton Oliver has 38 and 3 goals. Max Gawn was good. They lost, so you're lucky to get one. So that's a line through Petrarca on that game. And I think even in the games that they win, that might have
a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on.
And that Clayton Oliver performance, I think he had just a tick over 200 Supercoach points for what that's worth. But outstanding. Like that was his big knock a couple of years ago. He got a lot of the pill, but chopped it up by foot. Wasn't that explosive? A lot of handballs. He's now added kicking to his game, and now he's in the scoreboard. He's a complete midfielder,
he's an elite level,
and he's in your All Australian team at the moment. You probably have him. McRae, maybe Sam Walsh in the middle, and then Bontempelli and Petrarca, the half forward flanks, because the team's a bit of a
you can put people anywhere.
You can put them anywhere. So, but yeah, absolutely. And then, like you said, Peps, Max Gawn, someone feeding the ball, who somehow is nearly underrated still. Like you just accept he's the best ruckman, but you don't talk about his impact on the game. Like you got to credit the Crowies. They fucking played the game of their life.
Go Crom.
The Crom came out to play. Did you boys see that deliberate towards the end that the AFL have come out and said?
Your thoughts? I think because it's so subjective, in the heat of the moment, I don't mind the call. I tell you what changes it a lot, the crowd. So, if that's in Melbourne and there's 30,000, 40,000 D's fans yelling, I think that plays something on the subconscious. Whereas it's kind of dead quiet.
Yeah, everyone's kind of going, oh. I think it's as blatant as anything. I think it is absolutely. And the thing is, you can see what you can actually see what he's done. And I'll bring up a point after this. He doesn't want to go to the boundary line because he knows that's deliberate. But he doesn't want to deliberately go through the goals because of that uncertainty with the deliberate. So he's tried to sort of go to the boundary and hope he gets a bounce. If that bounce is in for a behind, everyone goes, oh, well, nothing. But because it goes out, you go, oh, that's what he was trying to do. So the call is for rush behinds or anything, it's the same rules for the boundary line.
Look at the you can see multiple Crows fans behind the goal.
Hands on heads.
Just going, oh my God, that's so deliberate. But
And
they got away with it.
If you look at some of the deliberates they've been giving, just those clearing kicks out of a pack that roll out of bounds, to not give that, that's...
Yeah, like you could say 39 at the time was in the vicinity. So he's got a player in the vicinity.
Yeah.
But even still,
he's not looking to get in the ball.
There's no way he's no way getting his ball.
He doesn't know he's there.
Yeah. And again, it's 30 seconds left next to the point post. They get a draw.
The rest
they get a draw out of that absolute minimum.
Yeah.
The umpires.
And the way that blokes snap the ball these days with the 5 meter protected zone, that's probably a goal.
Yeah.
So it's
We've seen through the season. I think the umpires aren't real keen to call anything real late in games.
Yeah, there's been a few games.
Well, because this happens, then you get the complete opposite. Why didn't you make that call? It's a thankless job, an umpire, and you hang shit on them. But the best umpires, like you've always said, the best referees, if you don't mention them, they did a really good job.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
No pats on the back in that job.
This game's going to be a ripper. It just really fucking sucks. There's not 50,000 people screaming at it. Yeah, because I think the Treloar injury means a lot for evening this game up. The way the Dogs are flying, and whatever I say, you could probably throw out the window. The early 2000 Lions couldn't beat this team the way they're flying. They are just moving it so quick by hands at the pack. Yeah. They spread, and then you've got Norton and Bruce, who are, runner up and fourth in the Coleman. Like, it's a good... And Cody Waitman's come on in the last couple of games. He's gone with the Rising Star. Yeah. And they've got Jamara, just cannot get into this team, who they think is the next Buddy Franklin. So... I'm obviously going Dogs here. I think the Treloar brings them really close together.
So, as we mentioned before, the D's copping their first loss of the season. That leaves Penrith Panthers as the only undefeated team in Australian sport currently. Well, the major football leagues.
Premier sport. Yeah.
Premier sport, let's go with that.
The two sports we follow.
Well, I don't think the rugby's finishing up and the soccer's I don't think anyone's undefeated in the soccer. So
my Madden team copped a few losses.
Get good scrub. So who are we picking in this? You said Dogs.
Dogs.
I think I've gone D's from memory.
Bouncing back.
For a bounce back.
I've gone the Dogs. Why? Can you check? Did you go Melbourne?
Yeah, I went D's.
Why? Sorry to put you on the spot.
One, a bit of a bounce back. The shock loss to the Crows. I think they're a bit of a G up. They should be up for this. Maybe a little bit Treloar also being out. Maybe slight flatness possibly for the Bulldogs. But whatever I say, it's probably going to be like a 2-point game. Like, it's going to be.
Let's hope it's a ripping game.
It's a flip of a coin. I've flipped it and I've landed on D's.
Okay. Max?
I have gone Dogs. Odds are, they are favourites, $1.60. Melbourne are out at $2.35. We have a line of 8.5.
Yeah, see.
Dogs being in isolation this week as well probably doesn't.
Yeah, that doesn't.
They were sort of a day before every other Melbourne team.
Yeah.
So
a team coming off a 100-point win and a team losing a game that they shouldn't have. Yeah, that's barking at me. But who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well,
our tip of the week last week was Melbourne
to win. So it shows how well we're seeing the D's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who knows? But how good is that as well?
That's parity in the competition.
Yeah.
And of course, we should mention that this game may not go ahead.
None of them may. They might not do any of them.
Yeah, they might not do any of them. This one was the big concern because both Dogs and D's had issues with guys being in and around COVID hotspots. So far, everyone's tested negative, so it should still be on. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if shit happens.
Moving forward to the second Saturday game, Brisbane and GWS up at the Gabba. The Lions, they're on a 6-game winning streak after that slowish start to the season, knocking off the defending premiers last weekend. The thing I love about Brisbane that they're not reliant on one guy. They've got such a they're such a good team. Like, obviously, Lachie Neale winning the Brownlow last year hasn't been playing, but everyone just kind of contributes. They didn't have anyone have over 30 posies. Yes, Zach Bailey and Eric Hipwood kicked 4 each, but I think
they're pretty lucky. They've got a lot of young guys coming through into their star prime, like Lyons and McLuggage, to pick the two.
Yeah,
and then the forward guys have the forward lines kind of worked out where they need to be and how to work together. And then you're seeing Bailey, Hipwood score. You mixed day last week. Cameron's chipping in, Danaher as well.
If Danaher kicked straight on the weekend, he could have had 4 or 5.
True.
I think, especially in Aussie rules footy, it's such a team game. It's not like some other sports where you can rely on your best 2 or 3. In Aussie rules, you're relying on your worst 2 or 3 not being bad.
Well, we saw in this game against Richmond. They shut down Dusty. They took him out of the game. They took away his fan.
He was a non-factor.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's by far the best player in Richmond and probably the comp. So,
but we did mention it last week how he puts the Tigers on his back and wins games like he did 2 weeks ago against the Giants, but then does kind of go missing a little bit.
Well,
regular season, never in finals.
No, in finals. But like the Lions took him out of this game as well. Yeah. So to do that, to quiet that guy, and then to win this game as handily as they did, it's impressive stuff.
The Giants want to give a shout out to a T Green at the Giants that you could get around. That is Tom Green, 20-year-old out of Marist College. He had 27 and 2 goals playing out of the midfield last week in their 26-point win over West Coast. His grandfather, Michael Green, 4-time premiership player at Richmond and Richmond team of the century, so he must have been pretty handy. I did not know that. Found that thanks to our unofficial sponsors, Wikipedia. Sportsbet, they're not writing back the emails. So
Wikipedia has been good to us.
Very good to me. It's my favourite website, I think. What do we think here, boys? Brisbane up there, too strong?
Home at the Gabba, Brisbane too strong.
I've got the Lions,
Yeah, I wanted to tip Giants.
They've been good. They've played good.
They lose Sam Taylor, good young key defender, and with Danaher playing the way he's playing, just knocks everyone back one.
Doesn't it?
I'm going to go, Hipwood might kick a bag here. This might be a game where Hipwood kicks 6. That's my tip.
Ooh, there you go.
I have backed the Lions as well. They are favourites $1.20. Great. GWS are out at $4.60. Line is 29.5.
Big line. Who'd you pick?
Brisbane.
Yeah, so four Brisbane.
Yeah.
So Brisbane head-to-head at home won 14 of their last 16 matches.
Yeah, so it's turned into a bit of a fortress up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bit of Optus Stadium vibes up there.
Will there be crowd?
Gabba.
They said no crowds at AFL games.
Up there.
Victoria game. No, Victoria game. Yeah.
So there'll be a crowd at the Gabba.
Full crowd, yeah.
Yeah, which would be good.
Moving into a scintillating matchup.
Yes.
Fucking I wrote it down. Why not say it?
When
the Saints, they don't show up. Oh, when the Saints don't show fucking up. I don't want to be in St Kilda. Because sometimes they play really good and sometimes they're awful. And they were hideous and not to take away from the Western Bulldogs, who are looking like the form team of the competition.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just
greatest team ever. Some are saying.
That's a Billy stretch.
Some are saying only Macca down the end of the table.
No, but the thing about St Kilda, you just don't know what side's going to rock up. They are the New Zealand Warriors, or the Gold Coast Titans, if you would, of the AFL. 2 weeks ago, they just about beat Geelong.
Sure, like we said, straight goal kicking, they win.
Yep.
They win
and
that game.
You were concerned about them against the Western Bulldogs last weekend. And they just got obliterated. And it's happened a few times this year where they've just
Richmond
been
game,
absolutely blown out.
Was that 80 points? They lost to Richmond. That wasn't long ago, and they show up all right.
Yeah.
So it's probably a good thing they run into Norths this week.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better time to get North. But North, like, if you're a young North team and you look at a team, you can't be more susceptible than a 20-goal humbling. North will step up to this game and they've got a win. They've got the smell. They know how to win now. It's a gross saying to say, but
they did get belted by the Bombers though on the weekend.
Yeah. North are the shittest team in the comp, but this won't be like St Kilda would have been blasted this week. They would have been got the shit kicked out of them. The best thing that happened to St Kilda, the only people who are happy with all this COVID shit is St Kilda. Because all the chat on Monday, it was about how fucking pitiful St Kilda are, what's wrong, their list build and now no one's mentioned it because all this other stuff's happening. So they've been able to sort of quietly escape a 20-goal thumping. I really wanted to tip North, but no, St Kilda. Yeah, but again, St Kilda could win this by 40 points. But then what does that?
You just don't know.
What does that tell you about this team?
They could lose that game and they could win. Well, 6+ goals.
The fastest research man in the Southern Hemisphere on my left here, he's brought up the the record this year. So that they had the 111-point loss on the weekend to the Dogs, went close to beating Geelong the week before. Then they beat Gold Coast and Hawthorn. They lost by 50 points there to Port. Port pretty good, but then they got spanked by Richmond, 90 points. Yep. They beat West Coast. It was in Melbourne, admittedly, but then they got spanked by the Bombers. But the week before that by that's 80 points there. So you just don't know with the Saints.
Did they beat the Giants? Yeah, they might have beaten the Giants.
Yeah, round one they beat the Giants, and round two they weren't bad against Melbourne.
Yeah, so it's what does this tell you about a team? Does it come down to coaching? Everyone was in love.
Knows?
Is it health?
And again, well, I was saying they were pretty injured, but you can't blame injuries on up and down. That's mental. That's above the shoulder stuff. Yeah. And this, like I said, this team won a final last year.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have an off season where you bring in some older players? And a lot of the chat earlier in the week was all about the list build, but the list was all right. They won a final, so you can't say they've built the list the wrong way because you thought you were there. So I don't know. It's just above the head,
Isn't it?
And once they're down, they get pumped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like they got fucking pumped on the weekend.
Destroyed.
And that Richmond game was quite. I remember we were watching it here. It was a Thursday night game. We were just slowly checking in, and then all of a sudden you turn over that's 13 goals now. So that's 15. Nearly losing this by 100 points. So I don't know when they got they look like they don't chase. And they're not like they will win this game by 7 or 8 goals. But it's a lose-lose situation for them. Like they can't do anything this weekend where they go, well, okay, you pump North. Or, they lose, they just beat North, they have to win.
They have to win.
And that's the thing, they win, they go to 5 and 6, which is,
they're not out of it.
Eight's not out of it.
Exactly right.
So, Saints to me, no real confidence.
Same here, Saints.
Yeah, I've gone St Kilda, but who knows?
Monks, are you going to make it a curse?
Well, I mean, put the curse on them. Go on Saints as well. They are favourites $1.24. North are out at $4.10. Line is 26.5.
Don't mind it. But yeah, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, it depends what team shows up, so you're risking it.
Would not be gambling on St Kilda.
No. Another stink game.
Yeah. to put it politely, Gold Coast and Hawthorn up at TIO Stadium. That's Darwin, isn't it? Yep, Darwin. Nick Holman, you saw this tackle, surely, Matt?
Yeah, it was a weird one.
It was a chase down.
Chase down tackle, got given holding the ball.
Yeah. But because Mitch Duncan hits his head, unfortunately, and
I saw this. What the fuck's wrong? With
the AFL obviously looked at it and threw it in the bin. But the fact that it's going to the tribunal, it's very strange.
Well, the match review panel gave it 2 weeks, which was obviously appealed probably quicker than they could finish the sentence by a big. And common sense prevailed. There was a bit happening at the tribunal this week. Lockie Plowman and with O'Meara. With Hawthorn, speaking of, and then obviously Marlon Pickett tried to fucking knock Starcevic's head off his shoulders. And then the third one was this one, just a real confusing message. Like it's a textbook tackle from behind. He literally got a free kick awarded for him
around the waist,
around the waist. I think he's got an arm pinned. And just pure momentum's pulled him down. They want to get rid of that dangerous slinging motion.
He couldn't brace himself or anything like that. But
he also had the ball in his hands. That's why he could.
Exactly.
So it's a.
And that's also what you get told to do is pin an arm, so you can't get rid of the football.
Yeah. They want to get rid of the double pin. Yeah, they want to get rid of that double pin because that's when you get that slinging head, Bob. But common sense prevailed with this one.
It's like as well. When talking to the motion, he didn't sling him or anything. He's just kind of gone down and.
Well, he has to twist, otherwise it's pushing the back. So, if you give that 2 weeks, you're breaking all these laws.
Textbook tackle.
Yeah.
I'm glad they chucked that.
Yeah. In the bin. Like we said, common sense there.
And thoughts to Mitch Duncan. But that's footy.
Yeah. And it was a classic old heads pop up. The blokes from the 80s say, well, if you give this thing, well, the whole game's there. We'll play touch footy. And you go, well, yeah. But,
that's actually what we're talking about for 80 minutes in our league segment.
Yeah, at the NRL. So.
So, this game's got enough airtime as is, I reckon. I've got Gold Coast.
Tom Mitchell, 44 last week and lost to the Blues.
Again, but he's another one of those 44 touches when you lose.
Yeah.
Gross Brownlow medalist for mine.
Fake stat.
Possessions in our fate.
The triple double. I've gone Gold Coast as well.
Yeah, I've gone the Suns here. Not that
no
much
confidence.
Not that much confidence.
Sean Burr going back in might even be Alice Springs. No, this is Darwin.
I feel like
Indigenous round. It's one of those ones that
I feel like it's Darwin.
Yeah.
Research man on the end of the table is that stadium in Darwin.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like it's Traeger Park in Alice Springs. Off the top of the dome.
TIO's Darwin, because that's where the Thunder played.
Tell you what, I would hate to play in either of those places. I think Alice Springs in winter gets cool.
It is winter, so it's probably a benefit.
No, Darwin does not get cool. Like
it's cool 25 degrees at the moment.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, it'd be humid though.
1,000% humidity.
Yes.
The odds, if you wouldn't mind, and your tip, kind sir, we have 3 Suns to your right.
Yep. I have gone the Suns as well. They are favourites $1.39. Hawthorn are out at $3. Mm-hmm. The line is 16.5.
I'll take that. Real low scoring, scrappy game, I reckon, this one. Sweaty, slippery ball, dewy conditions.
Stewie Dewy.
So total game points?
Stewie Dewy Cup.
159.5.
That's very low. 75.
It's under 80 for both,
I'll go under.
Quick math.
West Coast Essendon, 7:40 Saturday night, Optus Stadium. The Eagles lost to the Giants in Sydney. They did have Shannon Hearn and Flannery. They've only beaten Hawthorn outside of Perth this year.
Well, this is in Perth.
Luckily for them, They
get every second game. They're at 2 different teams. They're literally
it's so
2
weird.
different teams.
3.5 hour flight or 4 hour flight.
Is it the time zone?
I don't know what it is.
Like you're a professional sports team. Like it's now beyond a joke. But
Fremantle does it as well.
But like Fremantle is still young and going. Like you can get that. This team won the flag. 3 years ago. So it's just I don't know. I guess you can
list is unbelievable.
They still have very, very good players everywhere. Can we see if Elliot Yeo's playing? Sorry, anyone on their phone? Check if
I think Monk's probably be pretty close.
He's very close. Elliot Yeo to coming back. Another really good footy player who hasn't played this year. Luke Shuey's not too far away. Again, they're starting to get some of their cavalry back. But again, 6-4 for West Coast. Some of the performances they've put on, you think, this team's shit hot, and then they go to Geelong and lose by 100 points.
Yeah, you go, what?
GWS, who are now in the 8, I believe. They are. But they've just been going. We've been saying on here they're not really doing anything too impressive, and they were never going to lose that game. They were in control pretty much the whole time. So it's such a weird team. It's in Perth. They'll win this game. They'll beat Essendon handsomely
easily, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
Essendon are a young team. They run the footy. This will be a very high scoring game, I think. But again, it's a bit similar to St Kilda. Like they'll beat Essendon and it won't prove anything to anyone.
And at the end of the day, the finals at the MCG, other than last year, of course. But that's what it comes down to, isn't it? You got to be able to win on the East Coast. You could say that, like, because it's crazy because teams can't win there, so it is the same thing. But when you're doing it every 2 weeks, you'd have strategies put in, and I don't know. It is a weird one. It's a long time to be on a plane.
But again,
the longest time though.
No, it's not. But
does that fuck you up that much? Does it fuck you up that much?
So they need to come over a day earlier, climatise, whatever.
You're a professional sports team on a lot of money. There's a lot of people. There's science departments, the medicos. It's like they don't even look likely this side of this side of the Nullarbor.
Yeah.
West Coast by all the points here. They win this very handsomely. Although I will say, shout out to Essendon. They're probably going a lot better than what some people would have thought this year. Everyone would have thought bottom 4 team. They've put on some really fun performances. I wouldn't say they've had a signature win.
No, nothing. Anzac Day.
But looking at what Collingwood are now, I think, you kind of go, well, they probably going now, they should win that game.
Yeah.
Darcy Parish, we're talking all Australian midfielders. For a guy who's been playing on half forward, drafted as a young inside midfielder, played half forward flank the start of his career, and only through injuries to Shield and Langford, they said, we got to play him in the midfield. He's lights out. Yeah. He's lights out. So, best thing that's happened to Essendon. The thing is bringing Dylan Shield back. Where does he fit into everything? So they've invested a lot of draft picks and money to get him over. Zach Merritt's having a very good season, just quietly as well. Young guys like that, Nick Cox, he's a jet.
Yeah, he's coming along.
He's a jet. So Archie Perkins, a lot of these good young players. Even Cale Hooker, a bit of a renaissance.
Yeah.
He's got up there in the Coleman. So
that's enough talking about Essendon.
But they are actually a really fun team at the moment too.
They are.
They'll get their asses handed to him this weekend.
Out west, yep.
Yeah, I think what 3. Are you backing your team, or have you Judas over here and West? Yeah,
Judas. So giving them the curse so that Essendon does win. West Coast are favourites, $1.27. Essendon are out at $3.78. The line is 22.5.
I am taking that all day, every day of the week.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done giving bets of the week.
And Elliot Yeo has been recalled back into starting lineup.
Straight in. No waffle for him. He's too good for that. And they need him.
Yes.
They need him back in that midfield.
Will they play any VFL games this week? I'd say that.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. No crowd.
Something they had to.
Because they didn't play any.
They had to do
The whole
games
season
last
got
year.
canned last year.
Yeah.
They had to do a separate isolation, the VFL players, to enter back into the AFL. So it was a real fuck around for a couple of days. Shit, it must be a fuck around. Imagine being at AFL House this week.
Ugh.
For the organisation. You have to have direct links to the government and stuff. We'll talk about it all night. But we won't.
Unconfirmed, but all VFL games have been postponed.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Well, it's a 22-team comp.
Yep.
At the moment, so you got players and all around the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's, bringing that into buildings, you're not going to have that risk. So
No.
What happens there if you're a player? Do you just go?
Yeah, fringe player trying to make a team. So.
I was thinking the other way. Buy round. It's like
well, don't have to. You can't do anything in Melbourne.
That's you.
you can sit in your house and have 5 of your best friends around.
Yeah.
Just
get around the boys.
This and one more.
Yeah,
One more. That's the way my fickle mind works.
Yes. That's probably why you're not playing in the VFL. So
That and politics. All politics.
Horrible knee injuries. Once did a minor MCL and missed 4 weeks. Then it was fucking that was a bad time.
let's go Richmond Crows.
Richmond and the Crom. The Crom. I've only just worked that out. That's a thing.
Crom's good chat.
I do remember seeing it in the comments,
Yeah.
and I was like, look at all these idiots auto-correcting, and then I've finally worked it out that it's
very good
actually a
chat.
meme. Like it's
very good chat. The Crom's funny. Well, look it up. We're not explaining this online, but
Go Crom.
reigning premiers Richmond. Talk about a team just
Grand
going
final
along.
rematch from your Bucks party.
2017.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that game? Were you guys at the footy?
No, we're not there, but
No,
we
we're
watched
watching
it.
it in a pub, and I was watching it through. Let's go with half an eye.
I was going to say, weren't you asleep for most of that?
No, more his Asian eyes. Let's put it that way.
Oh, there it is.
Settle. Hey, we can't be offended for you. You've got to.
You got to stand up for yourself. Richmond versus Adelaide at the MCG Sunday afternoon. Tigers, got humbled, I think, by Brisbane a little bit. Yeah, I
Big
think
wake-up call.
Again, it was one of those ones that was close at the start, but then usually let Richmond take off and flex their muscles. It was the younger Lions team. Supposed to get a host of cavalry again. I'll use that term back. I think Cochin's really close.
I think Bolton's back.
Bolton's back from his wrist, and I even think Presti is really, really close.
Yep.
So that's
massive.
massive. But those three in. Tom Lynch out. He's had surgery, so he's going to miss the next sort of 4, 6, 8 weeks. So they can't catch a break, Richmond. But no one's having sympathy for Richmond.
I think Bolton got fined during the week as well.
I saw that. I think he said, it wasn't just me standing up for Dan Rioli's girlfriend. He may have done a little bit extra.
He's just come in swinging. Let's put
He
it that
said
way.
that.
Yeah.
They
He had to. Yeah, I think
they had to.
$20,000
They worked out I think with eyewitnesses and what the footage, whatever they've seen, it was like, he instead of cooling the situation down, he made it worse.
He did not de-escalate.
No, exactly. He's come in swinging.
No.
Let's put it that way, and that's why he's got a broken wrist. So,
exactly.
Yeah, good on him, I say.
Well, again, we defended him on the pod, but I don't think anyone's up in smoke about it. $20,000 fine wouldn't shock me.
And I think they donated that all to charity as well. So
wouldn't shock me if the club helped him with that one as well.
Barbie Chol into the side apparently.
Yeah, and a lot of chat. He's out of contract this year. Team's thin at ruck. He's got a lot of interest. Yeah, well, so he'll want to perform. We said how Nankervis wasn't really a top 10 ruckman in the competition, so Richmond is still pretty keen to keep some depth at the ruck position. They go up against Adelaide. Obviously, they had that awesome win against Melbourne. Probably we said that they'd peaked for the year. No more highlights for Adelaide for the year, and then they go and beat the team that was undefeated. Had curse written all over it. Ben Keys played really well. He sort of went with Clayton Oliver. It was a bit of a tag, and then Oliver broke away in the third quarter. But Ben Keys had 34. He kicked 2 snags on his own. So you'd actually say advantage Keys because he got the win.
Yep.
So, Clayton Oliver, probably best player on the ground, but Keys probably close second or third and got the chockies for his team. So
that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Well, exactly right. I know, but Oliver would give up a goal and 5 touches if his team won. Absolutely. The big Texan just keeps going. I don't know if you saw the mark to ice and the goal to kick it. Just 1-on-1, classic. Out-muscled Stephen May, no shitty defender,
exactly,
probably all-Australian fullback.
Yep.
Slot, and just went back and absolutely put it over the goal umpire's hat. He's in some form, the Texan, and he's back to being that cult figure.
He had been a little bit quiet in recent weeks, and I think and then he missed a week as well, I believe. It's good
for this game.
Yeah, it's good to see.
I don't think he'll hit the heights of that first month where he was just insane, like peak Texan.
Kicked 17 goals in the first 3
weeks. Yeah, insane. But again, hey, absolute credit to him leading that young team around the park. They're really showing something, and Matthew Nix must be a gun coach because this team was a joke last year.
Yeah.
They were a joke, and now the Croms
didn't win for the first 13 rounds.
Yeah, exactly right. This time last year they were winless, and they've just knocked off the undefeated team on top of the ladder. So
go Crom.
Awesome Crom. I really, really want to tip them.
That would be huge. Can we have the odds? They're not as short as you'd think.
Well, that's why I think these injuries, like Cochin's coming, but they're coming straight back. Like they're professionals. They're 3-time premiership players. These guys coming in, but the Crows obviously, it's hard to back that up. That performance from last week.
And if this game's at the Adelaide Oval, it's a completely different story.
Agree.
Richmond at the G. I think the Crows keep it amicable. But I've gone Richmond here.
I'm going Crom.
Crom.
I'm going back-to-back Crom. I reckon Crom win this.
Crom.
Yep. Leaving Richmond. Well, leaving them both at 5 and 6. That's my tip.
I've picked Richmond.
I like that, though.
Mark's do odds and...
Yep, I've gone Richmond as well. They are favourites, $1.31. Adelaide Crows are out at $3.50. Line is 21.5.
Oh, yeah. Yes, please.
Crom. Go Crom.
Up the Crom.
Sydney and Carlton, 3:20 Sunday afternoon up at the SCG. The Swannies, they went so close, but so far over there in Perth.
Yeah.
The Budweiser, 6 goals in a losing effort. Today he come out and I think he did a presser for the first time in a few years, I was saying. He said he'd be keen to play past his massive contract. It actually runs out end of next year.
22, yeah.
Wow.
Which is, like, I felt...
How old is he?
34.
34, yeah. You'd be able to get that up pretty quick, Jim. It would be unbelievable if he was to play another year or two.
It's very easy to say that after 6-goal performance. And
but his body has been...
But again, he could sign a 2-year deal and do a week-on, week-off type situation. If you can get 12 games of him, get into finals and play all the finals games, fuck. You could bring him in. The way that team's sort of going along and they're building with that young core, you top it off with one of the best players of all time. Mm-hmm. It's not bad at all. Some good, classic buddy goals in there as well. Kicking some. I only watched the highlights. Obviously, it was the Sunday game.
Peak wedding talk.
Yeah. What a weekend.
Oh, how good are they? We should do them every weekend.
At Monk's
exactly.
At Monk's at Macca.
Monk's up.
We're getting there.
We're 15 months off.
And up against the Blue Baggers. Did you get to watch him, Pepsi?
I did not. I was...
when was that game?
Saturday afternoon. Yeah. So it was us getting ready / going to our friend's wedding.
Yeah.
So definitely caught the full replay. Got the win. Yeah, that's good. I feel like you want to, like a team like Hawthorn, you kind of want to bury him, which is a touch concerning. What was nice was to see Zach Williams. He'd probably been a little
bit
quiet, was what I was going to say.
Looked like a bad pickup.
And they spent a fair bit of money on him. He had 26 and a goal playing off half-back.
That's his position. They're trying to make him a midfielder. It's just
100%.
They've had a lot of money for him.
And they pushed Doherty on the wing, and I love that. I think he can get more involved there and just play Williams on one half-back and Sard, your 2 recruits. have Wettering down there going to their best.
Yeah. And then you set.
And Liam Jones. Yeah.
And then you set down there, and Doherty up the ground, then he's kicking it into the forward line. And you've got Cripps and Walsh doing the dirty work in there. They're probably another midfielder away.
Yep.
Because they've got the big man Harry Mackay down forward, who's absolutely on fire.
Yep.
And it's Sir Douglas Nichols around as well. Eddie's going to pop up and do something special.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
calling it. He's going to do something good.
He was still pretty special last week. I've actually tipped him. It's.
I'll help you with the curse. I've tipped him as well.
Oh fuck, I did as well. Sorry, Pabs.
Lucky, come on.
I might have saved you. I'll go on Sydney.
Good boy. Good boy.
Yeah,
You don't need that kind of noise.
I think
they'll lose and they'll all get COVID.
Now think about it is, it's back at the SCG. Like,
but I think that narrow ground kind of it might suit Carlton.
I
style
just
of
like being what they've been doing. So that's why I back the Blues in this one.
Again, they've been good for 3/4 of the game. All their losses have come from just fucking around in the fourth quarter. So to get a win, and even though it's not a thumping of Hawthorn, a win where you're in command the whole game is good for a young group.
Yep.
And we mentioned earlier, Sam Walsh is on fire.
Oh, he's so good.
Paddy Cripps is going along well. Weedering's probably...
Oh, he's Australian.
He'd have to be. He's really come into his own. So... Everywhere on the ground, like I said, this list healthy is a very good list. They just need to knock off a good team.
Yeah, that's right.
And these guys are about the same. You'd probably say Sydney and Carlton.
Yeah, very very similar. Yeah.
So Sydney have sort of managed to beat all the teams below or near them. Now it's time for Carlton. We talked about the draw. Now Carlton's draw softens up a bit. They need to knock off some of these wins. So
have to.
I think they need to prove it to themselves that they can beat one of these top teams.
Yeah.
So they're like, we can actually do this, and then maybe they go on a run and push themselves into the top 8 into that finals contention.
Absolutely.
Did you give us some odds, Max?
Not yet. So odds are Sydney are favourites $1.50. Carlton are out at $2.62 at the moment. The line is 13.5.
I've got some upsets this week.
Yeah. It's a week for it.
Yeah. Well, man, you know what? Well, we'll do the last game and then we'll put our disclaimer on it, I guess. Port Adelaide are hosting Fremantle, who are just quietly 5-5, and they've just been hovering around 8th and 9th the whole season, which is great for a young list. People just say they're a one-player team, which they probably have been the last few years. Freo are coming off. They won against Swans. Yeah, that was an awesome close game. Rory Lobb. He started to really show some form as that big key forward who chops out in the ruck, sort of was a bit of an in-betweener player. He kicked 4 snags. Matt Taberner, first game of the season, he didn't kick multiple goals. But he's been really good for him down forward. Yeah, only one player has done it this year, Aaron Norton. But there you go.
Michael Walters, he's been a bit quiet by his standards.
Now, he's one, and for you gamblers out there, I just put him down for 15 and a goal in a same game multi if I do have a flutter. And he's been very quiet. I think with this Caleb Sarong, Adam Chera, obviously 5, Mundy still going, the midfield minutes aren't there, and Brayshaw as well. There's 5 really good midfielders. But Walter's skill set, I think the idea was just play him as sort of a small, medium forward and he'll be creative up there. He's just not getting those opportunities. And that when you play that role as a medium, small forward, you can't actually dictate your own game. A midfielder can just go and get the pill. Whereas a forward, it's got to come to you.
You're more reliant on others.
Yeah, exactly right. And when the ball is in his hand, he's one of the best field kicks in the game, and he can do some special things. But he sort of turned his game into that high half forward, then went into the middle and was playing. I think he may have even made an All-Australian bench from his skills. Now he's on paper, absolutely. Yeah, you put Michael Walters as a forward pocket with all these young talls. Yeah, this is going to work well. Perhaps it's a good pickup because he's not really getting near it.
He's been quiet by his standards. I've just brought up his stats here. He had 40 goals in 2019, and 2020 it doesn't have his stats there, but I feel like it was okay.
I think it was okay. He may have been hurt. He was a very big Ross Lyon fan. Ross Lyon was very good with Michael Walters. He sort of as that mentor, was his go-to guy. When Ross Lyon went out of there, I think there was a bit of a, and it was the same with Bradley Hill. Bradley Hill wanted out of there as soon as Ross Lyon left. So we've seen how that turns out for Bradley Hill. He's having a stinker in St Kilda.
Isn't he?
But what? You just
he's got 8 goals on the season, which by his lofty standards,
and playing 90% forward,
10 rounds,
less than one a game, so
is a bit quiet.
So, but they're going along nicely. Port Adelaide, there. It's a hapless situation when you have a narrow victory against a team you should win. It's like, okay, you proved you could win, but also, they had no right to win that.
That's right. Yeah.
They needed to kick 3 goals late. They happened to.
Yeah.
And the 1 point victory.
Chasing the whole game.
Yeah. It was Collingwood the whole time. So, Prison Bar Bowl, we were dubbing it last week. I was actually semi-expecting them to do the prison bars at the end of it.
Like a warm-up or in the song or something.
Did you boys see Swanee on Twitter throughout the whole game?
What did he say this week?
He can't. Well,
we'll start with what happened in the first quarter.
Well, because just a refresher for the fans, he was tweeting last week about the prison bars, getting stuck into Port Adelaide when they were losing to the Dogs, and then after the first quarter, I think Collingwood were winning 30 points to 1.
Yeah, Port Adelaide scored 1 point.
He scored 1 point. So Swanee said, "Is 1 point and a quarter any good? I don't know. Someone tell me." And then as the game sort of progressed, he was being very chirpy. It's easy to be chirpy when you're 6 goals up all game. It's getting closer and closer. He's like, "Hey, my internet's not working. Can my Adelaide friends tell me the score in the footy?" And then all of a sudden, it's getting closer and closer and closer. They lose. He tweets something funny like, "Oh, I don't know. Twitter's not working. No one can reply to my tweets." And then Port Adelaide actually grabbed Swanee's tweet.
Screenshot
that said, 1 point, is that any good? And they obviously won by a point. And they said, yeah, it's brilliant. Or, handy point.
Handy point is what they said.
Point. So
whoever is running the social media.
Oh, it's a gimme though. That's an alley-oop for
exactly.
He's done himself. That's
allowed.
Again, we were talking about Swanee staying relevant.
But the way they went about it, it was
handy point.
Handy point. It's just 2 words.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that. It's a mic drop.
Yeah. Blow up. Yeah.
Well
and again, we were talking about him sort of trying to keep his face, keep his,
Well, that's what you're going to do. Yeah.
And it's, he takes it in stride. It's good banter. So, he tweeted something that he's like, played with no heart, no emotion, no soul. That's why, they're not going well. But Collingwood did all right. Like saying that was, I fucked that up really bad. But Collingwood weren't bad either or something like that. So, good bit of back and forth. But this one being at Adelaide Oval, I'll get Port to bounce back. Port
same.
only beat teams below them on the ladder.
Flat track
they're struggling.
Are they pretenders? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
It's a West Coast thing as well. It's very hard for them to win in Melbourne.
Port for me.
I've gone Port here, home.
Probably closer than people think.
I'm sure Monks might have some insight on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I've gone Port as well. They are favourites at $1.23 at the moment. Fremantle are out at $4.20. The line is 25.5.
Oh,
yeah.
Again, I'm not. No comments. No comments. But that sounds pretty good.
With that, I think we'll wrap up the AFL chat for this week.
Big disclaimer, we really hope the games go ahead.
That too.
But at this moment in time, we have no idea. We could wake up tomorrow morning and...
It could all be different.
Yeah, well, the last 3 days, cases have been doubling every day.
The way, so everyone's in lockdown now.
Yeah, it's not trending in the direction you'd hope for. Whether they play with no crowds in the players' bubble, maybe that'll be fine.
Just get through this week.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe it's this week, and then do we worry about next weekend as it gets worse? Like that's the worst case scenario. But
I heard one scenario getting thrown up that they go, all right, let's get out. Similar to what they did to Brisbane last year. They had the hub, but do it in Sydney. You got the Giants Stadium. You got SCG. You've got Monaco Oval pretty close by. We could have a, just that wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah, well, you do that. You play New South Wales and Queensland. You use the Gabba and Gold Coast as your other 2 stadiums. That covers you for 5 games, and maybe you have a couple double headers. Yeah, and then you can the league can continue essentially.
Yeah. And with bye weeks,
it sucks for Victoria and
fucking
get
vaccinated. But
you're allowed to leave the house to get vaccinated.
Anyway, that's footy. Go footy. Go Dogs. Top of the ladder and flying, by the way. Go Dogs. Thank you, gentlemen. That's really nice of you to skip. Wait for me to be here. That's really cool.
Yeah, we knew you'd want to talk about him. So.
I would do it anyway.
Exactly. So it was like, we might as well just wait.
And you brought beer.
Yes, you brought beer, so that counts. So that wraps up domestic sports. Well, the two main footy codes for this week. And we're going to now tackle some international. I think we'll start with some news in the NFL and get through that quickly. And then we'll talk about some playoff sports before we get into everything else. So NFL to start with. Julio Jones sounds like he's done with Atlanta. And
he got stitched
That's
up.
bad.
Yeah, very explosive interview.
Did he get stitched up?
Yeah,
It looks that way. It definitely looks like.
Reports are saying that he and Falcons had no idea that it was going live. So it was live at the time.
Yeah.
Would one of you like to run the fans through
So
what happened?
What's the show? It's Shannon Sharp.
Undisputed, I think it is.
Yeah.
Undisputed. Shannon Sharp and
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say
Skip.
flog. He's the equivalent of the flogs
Buzz.
over here.
Buzz.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Shannon's obviously called him up and got him on speaker, having live. Got his phone up against his mic.
He's good. Yeah, he's very good friends. I think they've worked out together. So and they were chatting. And he said, "Oh, I'll call him now. And we'll get some." We'll get some. He's
insights.
live on ESPN. They've got millions of followers.
Yeah, but he didn't give him. It was like, "Hey Julio, I just wanted to chat. We're live on TV."
No,
he just went
yeah.
straight into the questions.
Yeah, you do. Like if you're on speakerphone in your car, you always say, "Hey, how you going? By the way,
Hey, I'm on Bluetooth with the misso in the car here. Hi,
that's
with the
like
misso.
that's
It's just
like the
been
wink, wink.
courteous.
Yeah, and then you get the blower from the misso saying, "Why'd you have to say I was here? What were we going to talk about?" We've all been there. Anyway. Shannon didn't say his misso was there in Skip Bayless.
Strange bedfellow.
And he said, "Hey man, you coming to the Cowboys? You look good in a Cowboys uniform." And Julio straight up said,
Hell
"Man,
no, I want to win.
yeah." He was like, "I'm out of there. Like I'm out. I'm done." Saying I'm done with Atlanta. Like I'm leaving as soon as June 1 hits. And then they were sort of like, "Oh wow, that happened." And then it sort of just ended, and everyone went, that's going to blow up in a matter of seconds.
Of course.
And it did. But even Atlanta, did you see what they tweeted or they put out a social media thing saying Julio Jones has said he's leaving? And it wasn't any, like, they just sort of replayed the thing. Like, it had no backing behind it. It was like someone panicked and said, we have to look like we know what was going on.
Damage control.
So, I mean, at peak of his powers, the best, not even arguing who. And he's not
Healthy Jones.
He's not too far removed.
Number one, number two wide receiver in the league. Like
He's not too far removed from that. Like he still had a very good season last year, and he was a bit injured.
I just think he's had hammy problems, I think, from memory.
Yeah, I think
Well, he's a
recurrent.
32-year-old wide receiver who's been,
Dominant.
multiple All-Pro, and he's just going to look great in a Ravens jersey next year. So,
Well, I think the two locations he's kind of come out and said is Patriots or Titans. He'd like to go play with Cam Newton, so that's why Patriots I think are favourites. But the chat
He won't be
is he.
What's that?
There is
hope he
that-
likes Mac Jones.
I hope he likes
Yeah,
Mark Jones. Yeah. But there's also the chat that the Titans was the other one, but then he'd probably play.
AJ Brown's been fucking pushing for him.
In his
He's
DMs
pushing
big
so
time.
hard. It's very good chat.
Yeah. So the thinking being that probably a second gets that job done, as in the trade for that, which is, I'd say, great value for Jones.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of teams around the draft. I do know the Ravens have been linked that they offered a first round. There were all teams late offered first round picks. And then the Falcons have sort of gone back and been like, hey, you guys still got any of those late first round picks? Obviously, his contract flips at the new
Chappelle
year.
man.
There's so many. You got me on this good value draft pick. Shout out Mr. Biggums. What was his first name? Tyrone Biggums.
Tyrone. Great character. Shout out Chappelle.
After June 1st, the new football year, like a lot of these contracts are worth a lot less. Like salary cap,
Yeah, they're
hit is a
told
lot
different.
less, so
Dead
so
cap.
the Falcons are way, and it sounds like on June 1st they're calling teams now. I think the Colts were involved as well. Baltimore.
Well, I think a
was
lot of
doing-
players would like to add a veteran talent of his capability to their receiving
There,
corps.
you need to have cap space because
Yes.
I think it will still be a 12 to 15.
Yeah.
Because you bring in one of the best receivers in the game.
I think I don't remember the teams. I know there was 8 teams currently that have enough cap space to put his contract on them. So this, of course, Patriots and Titans were in that list. I know Denver was one of them because we got some cap space, but I don't think we're going to go out and add some extra receivers. We're too busy worried about Aaron Rodgers at the moment.
Yeah, well, the Pack will have heaps when they lose Aaron Rodgers after June 1.
That'd be right. They bring in an all-star receiver as soon as they lose Aaron Rodgers. Just about right.
Oh, that'd be the biggest fuck you. It's like, we're going with Jordan Love as number 1, and we're bringing in Julio Jones.
Speaking of, he wasn't at the OTAs. None of their receivers were. What'd you hear about that?
Well, yeah. So Aaron Rodgers hasn't missed OTAs in his entire career, so it's the first time he's sit out. I believe he's in Hawaii with his with his fiance,
and sorting out his finances, I'd imagine.
Yes, I think they're with another actor friend couple as well. There's some pictures floating around on Instagram. He's got the dad bod going at the moment, so I think he's just living life.
All good quarterbacks got.
Yeah, you don't want your quarterback to have a good rig.
No.
So Mac Jones, we're just
Mac Jones.
Have you seen his pictures? So he didn't show up to the start of OTAs, and none of their top 5 receivers showed up to OTAs either. So Jordan Love was there throwing to donuts or potatoes, whatever you want to call them. Pepsis. That'd be shit if you're getting a run.
Pepsi's not far from their top 5 receivers. I challenge you to name their top 5 receivers.
Well, Devontae Adams starts, so.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Yeah, MVS.
Alan Lazard.
Yes. You skipped the big one.
Oh, Devontae Adams.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was given.
Yeah.
It gets a bit thin after that.
Yeah, it gets thin after that.
Devin Funches.
Devin Funches, yeah. And then you probably throw the tight end as the 5th one.
Yeah, Pepsi's probably 5.
Yeah.
Just remember, like I said to you,
special teamer.
As a young man, all you got to do is put it in a double garage, and I'll get it.
Swallow it.
I don't think your 6-inch vert's going to help you very much. So.
6 is generous, as pertains to other measurements in inches.
So the chat, of course, I think for both of these.
You'd be lucky.
That's what I'm saying. It's generous.
Yeah. On a good day. So it sounds like both Julio and Jones, the same person.
Julio and Jones.
Yeah, Jones and Rodgers are both June 1. So we're coming very quickly to that.
Isn't it? Next week.
Next week. So maybe some movement will happen when the new calendar league year starts. At this point, none yet. So it sounds like Jones, Patriots or Titans. Rodgers, if he doesn't stay at Packers, I think Denver is the biggest one. Or Raiders. It was also the chat.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to the Raiders. No, not with their offensive line. But we'll see what happens in the not too distant future. There's been some chat about Gutekunst as well. Like how essentially it sounds like Rodgers is happy with everyone but him.
Yeah. Shitterkunst.
Yeah, shitterkunst. But there's some chat. I'm not sure if the Packers put this out, but that he's well respected as a GM among his peers and all the bullshit, trying to G him up essentially.
So was Bill Cosby before what happened with him.
Yes,
I'm not saying that's
probably not a direct comparison, but I see where your mind's going. But yeah, so whether they're kind of trying to get ahead of the narrative a little bit, because it does look like Rodgers is out the door.
That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, he's too busy holidaying at the moment. So Packers are the furthest thing from his mind. He did do that interview on SportsCenter with Kenny, who just retired.
Kenny, man.
That's the one. Finishing up with SportsCenter, and essentially he said he's done. Like he's not staying there. He's going elsewhere.
Yep, it's a done deal, I think. What about the GOAT of kickers, the oldest man ever to be in a contact sport?
Interesting stat: 27.7% of the league was born after he debuted.
Jesus
fucking hell.
So
1 in 4, yeah.
We're talking about Adam Vinatieri, probably the greatest kicker, highest point scorer in history, which is pretty crazy considering quarterbacks they score touchdowns, 6 points. As a kicker, extra points and field goals, he's 25 years in the league. That'll do it for you.
He's 48.
Yeah,
48,
he's been around.
What? If he won the golf major, which we'll get to soon, he would have been one of the oldest people to win a golf major. That's fucked.
He's got 300 pounders trying to knock his head.
He's got a great swing. He was competitive with that, of course, throughout his career. I think he won 3 with the Pats.
3 with the Pats and 1 with the Colts.
And 1 with Colts. Yep. Yeah, so 4 rings for him.
So he totaled 2,673 points.
2,600.
Yeah.
That's a few.
Divide that by 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
No, 800.
800.
But I think before you got here, I said we got to.
We can't help it. It's chat.
We're going to stand
No
it
way,
out.
it's chat.
No, the Esky.
Hey, if we're talking about
is losing listeners and general interest from their own table.
if we're talking about statistic and stats, we've got to throw in some quick math. Unfortunately,
Exactly right. I'll have to back Sean up on that one.
Yes. So, but we want to shout out Adam Venturi. GOAT, of course, played with McAfee at the time.
Justin Tucker's probably the GOAT. I mean, statistically, highest percentage kicker of all time.
True. Has he played for 25 years and won 4 Super Bowls?
He's on his way.
So we'll come back in 10 years.
We'll have 2 Super Bowls by the end of this year. So he's halfway there. Continue.
So the final note, and we kind of talked about this months ago, the salary cap is likely to be, I think they said $208.2 million, the 208-ish range. Last year it was down to 182 from 198. So it's gone
10 mil past where it was.
Yes, where it was. So, of course, a down year because of COVID, and it's now got back to that, and then another 10, which I think the clubs will all be very happy with, and it's also the players, again, moving that forward. And with the new TV deals they did last year as well, that money's starting to kick in. This will very quickly move to 220 and up.
Crowds back now. And the commissioners come out and said we're having crowds. They're coming in. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll talk. We'll move straight into NBA then, because crowds. You look at what the Knicks are doing at Madison Square Garden with the amount of guys there, the amount of fans there enjoying that moment, that team winning games,
and we're shutting down a state.
Yes, we're the opposite. So
but
hashtag the On The Esky curse.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'd probably rather that than what the states are doing.
In general.
Yes.
But there was more people at the Knicks game than the Yankees game. The Yankees fit 60,000 or something, but I bet there were more restrictions on there as well. But there was
early season baseball.
Yeah, I don't know. The Yankees weren't allowed. I don't know. There's something there as well, but it's stupid. But we're going to jump straight into the playoffs.
Can you bring up the bracket for us?
Our NFL news. Obviously not a lot going on at the moment, but NBA playoffs have started, and
a lot going on in
that
NBA.
First round of games was insane. It was insane. There was just every game was interesting. It was cool.
Second round too.
It's all happening.
Super competitive basketball, which is excellent.
It's fucking awesome. We'll start with the Knicks. Like Sean said, obviously that first game, 4 versus 5 seed, they were hosting the Atlanta Hawks and the Ice Tray. Trey Young, he came on, technically a buzzer beater, floater, and then gave the old shut up Madison Square Garden. They would chant, "Fuck Trey Young, fuck Trey Young," the whole game.
And he's like, "You're quiet now."
He's like, "It's quiet in here now." We were having some chat in the groupie about, fuck off, Trey. You haven't made. Yeah, I reckon it's great. I reckon it's brilliant. He's a poor man, Steph Curry. That's
he was hot today as well,
but then they were to go to today. They ended up blowing out the Hawks, and he was sitting down because the game was over, and then the crowd were getting really stuck into him. Oh, he's sitting down, where are you now? And they were getting real loud. And we've been talking about, Knicks basketball and Knicks basketball fans. In New York, the Nets coming along, having their big three. The Knicks make the playoffs, and it shows you where, why they call it the Mecca, why MSG is where basketball is played, regardless of what the Nets are doing.
Well, did you see Young as he's leaving? He's throwing up the A. He's just like, "I'll see you in the A. I'll see you in Atlanta."
We're going home. Yeah, so that seems like that's going to be a really fun series.
Yeah, looks excellent. So tied series at the moment. They're 4 and 5 listed in their seedings. Tied series 1-1 so far.
Yeah, a couple series that aren't as close. I mean, Washington made the big.
Before we move on, sorry, the Knicks. That's their first playoff win since 2012 or 2013, I think.
Yeah, long
I would never clue.
Yeah, 8 years, I think. It was 2013.
Yeah, right. But I don't think they've won a series since the mid-90s.
Ages.
Since the Ewing days. I think it's the Ewing.
I can't remember it in my lifetime.
So that's what they're hanging on. And then, Trae Young spoils it first game. Brilliant theatre. As I was saying, couple series that aren't really as close. Washington did make the dance with that exciting run, and obviously that playing game, but Philly is showing that they are way too classy.
No one's been talking about them all year, and they've just come into this and they've
1 seed, and they're going to beat
they're
a
dominant.
team that's much worse than them. But yeah, we've got it down there in the notes. Did you see Westbrook cop the popcorn on the way out? And he blew up.
He
Yeah,
wanted to fight some guys, and then in the post in his conference afterwards, he was just got stuck in like no filter. I'm not sure if they did it.
He's good for a blower.
I'm not sure if they did it live because he just swore the house down afterwards. It's like fans can do whatever they fucking want. And blah, blah, and
No accountability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
What about he was limping off, right? And as soon as that popcorn, I've never seen healthier ankles in my life. The man was about to fade away on it, like seriously. And the security holding him back.
Well, I saw a bunch of players, LeBron included, go on social media and say and back him up to the hills. Like, I want cameras on that man.
Yeah.
Like, tell me who he is so we can fucking have a chat to him.
You think of basketball as well. I'll ask you in a minute about fan behaviour because I think I've seen it in the NHL and baseball as well. There's been a lot of infighting in crowds.
Yeah, heaps.
But the basketball is one. They've got crowd side. So crowd side. Yeah, courtside. That's the one I'm going for. Courtside crowds. So they're really, really close to. Most of those seats are got celebrities fitting in them, but they are so close to the fans that you don't want this stuff happening. You don't want guys. The worst case. We've seen basketball guys fight fans. Like they've,
Malice in the Palace,
So
we're talking about LeBron a couple months ago as well.
That's stupid.
Getting blown by that.
Miami, what was her name?
I don't know.
Bimbo.
Silicon piece of shit.
Yeah, that was her. That was the one.
Like that.
That was the Insta handle. But yeah, like it's because, like you said, sure, you can be courtside. You could, get LeBron's sweat hitting you in the face.
You're this far away.
Well,
You're literally this far away
So
from
don't,
megastars.
and what would anyone give to be in that guy's seat? Like, after the 12, 18 months we've had, and that's how you choose to spend your time in a crowd. Like, you're the lowest of low.
Atrocious.
Like we're saying how shit we are, but no one can go to the footy this weekend. Give anything to be there. And this guy's, at a live sport, at a playoff game, in front of one of the best, 20 athletes in the world, and you fucking treat him like that. And it's absolutely. And
in his defense, they always make the popcorn thing too big. Like no one is actually going to finish that amount of popcorn.
it's America, everything's bigger in America, isn't
No,
it?
but even here,
Popcorn
man,
at bars.
You ever gone
Popcorn
to the cinemas
at
and you
sport.
pay $13 for a popcorn and go, the first quarter of this was really good, but I
Make
don't know
sure
about
you make sure you bring a bottle of water. You're gonna get
exactly. Need a
salty.
beverage. to get
Also,
down.
popcorn at sport. Pull your head in. What are you doing? You don't eat popcorn at basketball.
Yeah, be a man and have one.
Yeah,
of
have a
these.
couple of beers and a
some
dog.
sausage rolls. Yeah.
That's right.
Hot dog.
That's right.
But go back to my question. What do you think about the fan behaviour? I guess
It has been a big thing this year.
it's been
absolutely right.
a year away from sports. So did they learn not to be fans or they behave themselves? Like
You know what I think, and I hate to talk about and bring it into the equation. I think the COVID thing is doing people's heads in over there. There's a lot
frustration.
There's a lot of fuck you. Like you can't tell us what to do.
Well, it's all anger. Yeah.
And they're different than we are in that they're all about their freedom and their rights, and you can't tell me what to do, and the fuck you attitude.
Well, we saw
we're a bit more compliant.
But we did see in the Tigers Eels game at the start of the year, those guys were fighting in the crowd.
Yeah, but you got to get pissed, guys, having a blow
You gotta
with your
get that
footy
anyway.
team.
You gotta get
Punches
that
thrown,
anyway.
but I'd say that I think it was 2 weeks ago they had the baseball guys, and you might have seen the dude getting knocked out in the crowd.
Yeah, it was scary.
And then the NHL, I think yesterday they had a
Hockey needs a separate
Yeah, that's
area. Like you,
true.
there's more
but-
fights on the field than there are in the stands.
On the
Like
ice.
that's on the ice. On the.
But the idea is you want to leave it on the ice and not
Yeah.
in the stands where you've got.
but that's
got
an
the
unruly
dad,
crowd.
The
That
dad
looks like
bods
fun.
swinging.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
Hockey
needs, but you are right. Like in the basketball, in the baseball especially, you're seeing more of it. It's almost like you can't have full stadiums because there's more space, so you see it more. Like if you're all jammed in, you just get it. But now, I don't know. You're right. I think over there, it's it's all hate filled. Like if you can't see the other side ever. It's all fuck you. This is me.
Well,
and you throw your passion for your sport team on top of that. You throw your pissed in there.
Well, it's like State of Origin, but every week for them.
Yeah, with baseball, it's every day. So, I don't know if there is an answer to the question, but I think Pepsi's hit the nail on the head. What they've gone through the last 12 months.
Yeah, very different over here.
And you throw them. What about, but back to the basketball. I've gone to the Bucks looked to really outclass Miami. I thought they'd be able to.
First game was close.
Yeah, I thought that would sort of be the series, like a bit of a gross matchup for Milwaukee.
It was the Heat that did the Bucks last year in the first
Yeah,
round.
Heat went deep last year.
Well,
they made the final.
Yeah. So, was it conference finals? They beat the Bucks.
No, I feel like it was early on.
First round.
I'll have a look at that.
Celtics,
I'll have a look at that. Yeah, I'm pretty confident there.
But yeah, Bucks are again that team that they've had a really, really good season, but no one's talking about them because of what Brooklyn have done.
Yep.
Giannis doing Giannis things, putting on highlights.
The Greek being a freak.
He is. So now the question for them going forward is Middleton stepping up. Are the Lopez brothers going to step up?
It was our conference semi-finals, second round.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the other game in the East is the Nets. They're up against the. Why am I blanking on this? Oh, Celtics. Yes. Celtics. Now, again, see, you're filthy if you match the Nets, I think, because they are bringing the big three together. They are, like we said, they'd only played 8 games before the playoffs together. It looks like they only needed 8 games, so they're starting to. And again, 3 of the best 10 players in the world. They're not going to need a lot to warm up.
No.
It's a bit like the Olympic team, really.
Have you seen Blake Griffin just dunking on everybody?
No, he's back, baby.
Yes.
He's back in the biggest of ways. And again, he doesn't have to be the best player on the team.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to be the fifth best player.
Plus, he's getting fed in good situations, so it helps. Yeah, opportunities help.
It kind of like the Celtics are just a weird team because Tatum's probably had the best season of his career. Jalen Brown's come on really well, but
Marcus Smart.
Yeah, but they've just sort of had their worst season for the last couple of years. So it wouldn't shock me to see a bit of change at Boston in the off-season, whether it is Brad Stevens going back to college or getting a job elsewhere, or whether they decide to mix the team up. Obviously, that's Tatum's team. Obviously, they make that Tatum's team. Jalen Brown, that two-headed backcourt is a monster. So we'll see that. But looking over to the West.
Yeah, go to the West.
So what are we thinking? Let's just finish off here. What are we thinking? Are we thinking Philly's getting out?
Yep.
Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee.
Probably guaranteed. Yeah. So
sweep all ones across the board.
The only sort of interesting series here is the Knicks and the Hawks.
And I actually wouldn't have said that before game 1, before Trae Young went off. They actually are a bit more of a well-rounded team than you think. It's not all Trae or bust with them. They've got guys like Bogdanovic and some solid bigs that are clanging around. I think when Randall really warms up, because he's had such a good normal season, regular season, just hasn't really come to the party. As he's set the bar so high, he won the most improved award, obviously.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
But yeah, I think the Knicks have showed too much class. It would be very, very Knicks of them to lose this, though. Would be very. I could see this going 6 or 7, but I just think Knicks more well-rounded.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Knicks get out. I think they're going to get blown out by Philadelphia though in the next round. And like you said, Bucks, Nets for their series in the conference finals, which I think that is an excellent series.
Absolutely, and even Knicks, Philly, I think that they do match up pretty well.
It definitely goes back to the early noughties. To quote the great Joey Tribbiani from Friends, the Knicks suck.
Well, imagine if you
tonight was the reunion actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Shit show. That's a conversation for another day.
But I'll defend Friends.
Imagine
Jennifer Aniston sweaters.
Ageless.
Yeah. Oh my
Ageless
goodness.
wonder.
Oh my god.
The LeBron of acting.
Yeah.
Acting wise, but look.
Oh, great. Yeah. Acting. Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis esque, if you would.
Did you guys see the I want to move on.
Sport.
Did you guys see the Knicks? They won one playoff game and they're already saying we want Brooklyn. Can you? What do you think that would do for that city if the Knicks and I think the Nets are most likely going to make it through, but if the Knicks make it through.
Well, we were talking about today in the groupie. New York's lost 1 million people due to COVID, and it's I think the crime rate's through the roof. And you top this on that, it's going to be fucking scenes over there.
Well, you saw a couple of their regular season matchups. It was fiery stuff. Like there was ejections, there was like push and shove. So it'd be very cool. The NBA would want that very much. So
Yeah,
it would be very happy to see that as your Eastern, the winner plays LeBron or whoever, and we'll plays whoever does win the West, which is where we'll look right now.
Yeah, it might not be LeBron given the way they started.
Well, absolutely, and how some of the other teams are going along. We'll start with the 1-8 seed. Probably one of the biggest upsets we've had across the first
massive
2 games. Memphis obviously just scraped in by knocking off Steph and the Warriors. They actually went out and they beat Utah in that first game. Utah, who quietly were the best team in the league, record-wise.
And the NBA was probably going from that play-in tournament game, fuck you, Memphis.
What's the point?
It's a huge market.
Yeah, exactly.
With the Warriors.
Everyone wanted to see the Warriors, because the Warriors would be able to do something to the Jazz, and then Memphis go, well, you know what? Fuck you, world.
So can we.
Yeah. So that I think Dylan Brooks put up 30-odd points, played really well. Jar very handy. So very young team. Obviously, it's not going to be their year this year, but they're going to prove that next year and going forward, they're going to be, if they can get a couple of veteran pieces in there, that's a very good team, well coached, good defensive team. Jazz, I think Jazz beat one by 20 points today. And they're going to win this series. But for Memphis to win that game, that's something you put up.
Pushing them, that's what you want to see.
Exactly right. They know they can beat them, so they'll rock up in 2 days' time and say, we can win this. We're going back to Memphis. Why not us? In my second favorite series, so for Harry's Dallas versus the wannabe Clippers, Luka absolutely doing Luka things over the first two games. Dallas taking a 2-0 series lead. Playoff Paul George has come to the party, stinking it up the first couple games. Kawhi's looking around going, why the fuck did I choose the Clippers?
I wasn't going to ask you because I know the answer you're going to get, but for the other boys, you think Leonard's made the wrong decision picking Clippers over Lakers? Because I know you'll say yes.
But it all comes down to the money and the time of the deal and that.
I think it was comparable.
Leaving Toronto was always going to be less. The draw to be the guy at a team was obviously what it was.
You want to be Bron.
Exactly right. And also, him and LeBron are very similar players. He plays like a young LeBron. And if you got told, we're going to get Paul George over here as well. Paul George is an all-star. We can actually win it. Again,
they're the fourth seed for a good reason.
Exactly.
They won games.
On paper, they're a good team, but
they just won't run into Luka. So.
And Luka, who I think we were talking today, averages 30, 10, and 10 against the Clippers, and it's over 15 games or something. It's not a small sample size. He just goes to work against the Clippers for whatever reason. He sees those shitty jerseys and his eyes light up. So they're going to have to dig very deep because the way they're playing, even Kristaps is throwing it back a little bit.
Well, they're 2 down already, so
hard to come back from that.
Very hard to come back.
Going back to Dallas now.
And I think Kawhi might even have an option this year. So Clippers go all in for this, and
he might be I'm out.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he's won a championship everywhere he's been, so it wouldn't shock me if he stayed buried down and said, no, I want to.
Depends if he loves LA and that building, what he's doing there.
But the thing is, you'd say the talent around him at the Clippers is better than what he had at the Raptors.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That team just sort of got hot at the right time. And LeBron left the East. That's the biggest thing after the Raptors.
But you still have to win the final.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know. Looking at it now. But again, it's been one of those things. They haven't played much basketball together. Over the 2 seasons they've been there, they've probably played 20% of games, both been on the court at the same time.
That is true.
That adds a tally. When you have 3 players, it doesn't matter. If you only have 2 of them on the court at the same time, that's good. The Nets, that we were saying earlier. But the clip, it counts for something. You need to get that gel. And Paul George needs to get some playoff monkeys off his back. He stinks.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
He stinks. And even when he does play well, they lose. So he needs to, I don't know, flick a switch because he's a very good basketball player. But just for whatever reason, when the playoffs start, he can't clip.
Yeah.
The next series, I should say. Sorry, Denver and Portland. Another fun series, one. Another fun one. And this is one of those, we were sort of saying before the playoffs started, Dame could go Superman mode, throw Portland on his back, and really cause some upsteps.
Game 1 was Dame time.
Yeah, Dame 1, if you would.
Not bad. Rhyming slang. Denver did it quite comfortably yesterday, our time.
I think Joker was very dominant in that as well.
And they're the same thing. Like we said with Utah, they're a very good team. You're not going to knock off Denver or Utah. You're not going to sweep them. They're going to win games. They're going to grind them out.
Battles.
Pick this series. I'd probably say Portland. I've got it. I love Dame Lillard, so I'm always going to sort of lean Portland.
I'm backing Nuggets all the way in, but
Nuggets are probably a more well-rounded team as well. So they've got the bigs, the smalls, and they play
they've got the defense. MVP, bro.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly only one team will have an MVP. So,
which means they usually don't win. So that
would be an interesting stat to look up. how many teams have won it with the MVP?
I think across leagues, it's a bit of a curse.
Who was the last person to do it? Steph Curry?
Well, we've already looked at it in the NFL, and
it's a big curse in the NFL.
Increasingly rare. I suppose different sport where there's 5 on the court compared to 20.
Well, I think if you look at the Dally M and the Brownlow, it's the same thing. Like guys that win it, it's usually a bit of, you win the Brownlow, you don't win the grand final, you win the Dally M and don't win the final. So I don't know if it's like the individual versus team thing that kind of comes out, but I think it's a pretty common occurrence across sport that, yes, you have the MVP, but it's also rare that you then back up and win.
But it's, like Westbrook, you average a triple double. And this started my rant on triple doubles. Yeah, you averaged triple double. Yeah, you did really well. Your team was a 7 seed and got bounced. So whatever. And it's like we say with the Brown talking Coston Sports to footy, and been talking about the Bulldogs. Oh, we've got all these good players taking votes off each other. So
that's what you want.
That's what you'd want. You actually don't want individual awards, but
yes.
That should be a fun series to watch. Speaking of the Bulldogs, Lakers, they hit back yesterday. They beat Phoenix yesterday after losing the first game by I think it was about 8 or 9 points in the end.
Yeah, I think Chris Paul had to have a bit of massage on the shoulders as well.
LeBron he's stepped up his flopping game something chronic these first 2 games.
Does he need more eye pokes? Is that what he needs?
Oh, he's been whinging and whining so much. It's crazy. I love LeBron, but dear God. And he would be banged up. The man, he's an old man, and he gets whacked every play. But fuck, he's flopping a lot and then just flailing around.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about gamesmanship versus sportsmanship. So, yeah, hey, he's a winner.
You don't become the GOAT by not having gamesmanship. So,
yes.
I'm very worried for this series. I think Booker has played really, really well.
Well, they've run into one of the best teams in basketball.
Yeah, well, you finish the 7 seed. Yeah, if you're in the play-in game, you're going to have to beat the best teams. It's kind of, all right, you can look at it as a good thing. Like, yeah, we're going to have to beat the best. You're not going to get a soft draw. You're not going to get Boston. Like, the Nets are going to pump Boston.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the Wizards or something. So you have to beat everyone. And Devin Booker's, been in awesome form the first 2 games. Anthony Davis went off yesterday. So it's good to see the best players playing well.
Yes.
That's going to produce the best basketball. So this reeks of a 7-game series.
Yeah.
I'm for mine, but.
Yes. What did you think about AD kicking a bloke in his doodles?
Did you see it though? It looked pretty incidental.
Didn't he get a flagrant for it or a technical? I can't remember.
I only saw a still. I only saw a still and like a slow replay, and I was like, well,
I'm not sure if Mark's can pull it up, but it's interesting because there is a certain distance between, like, it's a decent leg flick to cop a bloke in his groin. So I don't want to say it's intentional. I don't think it was. I think it's accidental.
Well, Draymond Green, famous, he got in a lot of trouble for it was his go-to, the old kick to the schnutties.
But
very low blow for any blokes out there. That delayed whack when you get a sack whack or something. That 2 seconds where you go, I think I'm good.
You feel sick.
I think I'm good, and then down I go.
But I'd also say the distance between them, like if you're doing a leg flick, he's
also got 11-meter long legs.
It's true. It is true, and it is a long kick. So whether he's gone a bit further than you'd think, but the old toe poke. Yeah, he's copped him flush.
That is incident. Surely he's not trying to do that while he's shooting the basketball.
When they slow it down, when the slow mo probably makes it worse.
Give that man the $10,000.
Man gets kicked in dick by AD.
But he did get fouled for this, and I can't remember if it was flagrant or technical.
It's the modern jumping, and you flail your legs out to get some contact and get the and one.
This is funny.
It's a very funny.
There's not much else in life funnier than watching a guy getting kicked in the dick. Isn't
it? Again,
it's not you. It's not you. It's funny.
It sucks. Look, I'm getting Luke Pogson vibes. Him peeing that tennis ball in my nuts when I was about 18. We're up in Sydney. You guys remember, don't you? And geez, it got me flush. And like I'm writhing in the ground in pain. And all my friends, do they come check on me? No. They're losing their lunch laughing.
Yeah,
You'll be all right.
Yeah, you will. You walk it off.
Short-term pain. So,
Well, Monks has just pulled up.
Sorry.
Luca also got ejected
This is
for
back at early May.
yeah.
This is a couple weeks. And because he's
hitting
got a
a
bit of
dude
a
in-
pri-
Oh, see, there is nothing in that.
Luca's had a few priors, bit when he's been screened and just,
Yeah. He can't turn around and slap a bloke
It does.
in the lower region of his body.
It does
so.
happen quite a bit in the NBA and in basketball.
sure does,
And it may, hey, you're playing with some well-endowed gentlemen, so, bigger
Allegedly.
bigger surface
Just,
to hit.
as
so.
Peps can attest to, just because you're tall doesn't mean you're.
Not always does the carpet match the pubes.
But I think it's also a sport where you're
Curtain rod.
you're constantly in close contact with someone else.
Yeah, that's
so
correct. Yeah.
you're constantly trying to screen and rub each other. Guy,
You're trying to rub each other.
yeah,
Rub it, guy. I don't know what games you're picking. I don't want to play a pickup game with you, Sean.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Would you hockey?
Yes.
Because
So-
I'd like to relieve myself.
Yeah, I think
Would
we
we
both need
quickly
to.
go the MVP?
Yeah. Before you do that, who do we think's coming out of this?
In the West?
Yeah, in the West. Do we think?
Mate, it's anyone's series in all of those.
Well, I'd say I'm picking Utah, Dallas, Denver, and Suns to come out of that, and then I'd
that's
go Sun. No, I'm gonna go Denver. I'll back Denver.
Don't go to...
We'll work on that
Too
next
far.
week. We'll
We'll
talk
work
about
on
it
that
next
next
week.
week.
Some of these
That's
series
what I
will
got.
still be going on.
That's what I got. Sorry.
It's hard to pick. I think, yes, Utah, it'd be very surprising if Memphis knocked them off.
Yeah.
Dallas 2-game lead, go home.
Go home. Yeah, they go up quick.
You got to pick
4-0.
You got to pick Dallas there. I'm gonna go with Denver there, but
I think that's a great series, Denver versus
but
Portland.
who knows? And then Phoenix and the Lakers is a great series too. So it's good.
Very good, yeah. Eight good series. And even the blowout ones, you're like, well, fuck, get to watch the big three. Philadelphia get to, warm
The
up.
superstars in every game. So
Yeah.
Nice to see some points scored.
Fucking oath. A lot of fucking points. Bet the over in the playoffs.
So just quickly going back to the team that wins it and the MVP in the NBA. So last year you had Giannis and the Lakers win. The year before, Giannis and the Warriors win. The year before, Harden and the Warriors. The year before, Westbrook and the Warriors. The year before, Steph
Cavaliers.
and the Cavs.
Yep.
It's 15-16.
And Steph and the Warriors.
So very close. And then Steph and the Warriors.
So Steph Warriors.
So it's been
7 years.
six
years, yeah.
since it's happened, and then before that it's a long time. There's a few. Did LeBron
Shaq.
get it when they won?
got it when they
LeBron
won.
would have,
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
but they only won one of the. Yeah, he got the
12,
MVP
13.
2 years in a row.
Yeah, 12, 13.
12, 13. Oh yeah.
Hate, yeah.
So it's actually happened 3 out of the last 10 years. It's not that unusual in basketball.
But
that's
two
10%.
teams. That's, yeah.
30%. Quick maths.
Quick pass.
What's 6 out of 20?
6 out of 20. It's,
Yeah, 30%. I think I just doubled both of those numbers.
yeah, sorry. Give me a beer, please. As we roll away from the NBA playoffs, great couple rounds.
One last quick note.
Go,
Oh,
Max,
God,
go.
never mind.
Yeah, sorry. So before that, it was 2003
Shaq.
where Tim Duncan with the Antonio Spurs.
So the next 10 years of rough.
Well, no, because
7
Shaq
years
would have
it was
been
one,
before
so-
that.
Yeah, so it's 4 out of 20.
Yeah.
20%.
5%. We like to laugh. We like
It's good to laugh. It is good to laugh.
Yes.
But speaking of laughing, you guys, good luck talking about hockey for the next 2 minutes. Yeah.
Can you bring up the playoffs for the bracket for?
Oh, are you really
NHL?
doing this?
of course.
All right.
Oh, well, we've moved on. So some of the teams have made it through. So Avs clinched theirs. They've gone on to the next round. The New York Islanders?
Islanders.
They beat Pittsburgh. So I know the Pittsburgh fans weren't real happy about that. The Bruins won theirs. So they're
Capitals.
against the Capitals. So they're going to play the Islanders in their bracket. Tampa Bay Lightning have gone through, and we game 6 against Hurricanes versus Predators.
Nashville.
And I think what's the other one? They're not the Warriors. They're the Warriors or the Fighters. What's the bottom left one?
Mate, the Jets.
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 Oh, sorry.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Oilers and
So the
Jets.
Jets have gone
The
through.
Fighters, you reckon? That would have to be
sorry.
the lamest name for a team ever.
Yes.
The Fighters.
I had Warriors in my head, and I was like, it's not Warriors anyway.
Canadians, Maple Leafs.
Yeah, the Maple
Yeah.
Leafs and
Knights, Golden Knights, and the
Golden
Wild.
Knights still. So those series are all very, very close at the moment. The others have clinched theirs, not easily, but significantly. So I'm still back in the Avalanche from here. You've got Lightning down the end there, and I don't think Mac has jumped on a team yet.
It's because I'm a Devils man through and through.
There you go. That's right. I think you said that last week too. As we've mentioned before, there's been a lot of fighting in some of these.
It's the best
games.
sport for when like I saw Taylor Lewan. He was at the Nashville game.
Yeah,
and just chugged a bit. He had his
they love him. So
4-year-old daughter and like held her up.
He picked her up. Yeah,
it was
I saw
real
this.
cute. And then they were kept chanting his name. And just ripped his shirt off and chugged a beer.
Yeah,
just blokes. It's a perfect offensive lineman chugging beer with mullets, and then hitting dudes. Some big hits. Did you see that? Oh no, we're not going to go into it because it doesn't matter. But some fucking clean hits. I think it was the Bruins series. Put him over the fucking end of the bench.
For injuries, like ice hockey is by far the most dangerous sport. Purely because, they play on ice, it's rock hard, it's concrete essentially. And they do lay each other out constantly with massive hits. What have you brought up there, Monkey, you want to show us?
Yeah, so this was between the Canadians and Maples. Mm-hmm. So during the game, Corey Perry, incidental or not, knocked out John Travis. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty sickening blow. So John Travis was coming in, I think they were going for the puck, and he sort of fell over, and Perry came through and hit him with his knee straight in the face. He knocked him out.
Knocked him out cold.
He was out, real bad. So part of the code is if one of your players get knocked out, throw gloves and just start swinging for it. Because it seemed like it was accidental, there was a bit of, is it okay to do that? Like it wasn't really his fault. Yeah. So either way, what's his name? So Nick, how do you pronounce that?
Foligno.
Yeah. He took it upon himself to I guess
come out and
get retribution.
Yep. That's it. And Corey Perry, knowing exactly what happened, he was just like, look, it was an accident. There's nothing I can do. I'm not going to fight you for it. And he ended up just taking his lick. So you just see him here skating around. Foligno sort of grabs him and just starts smacking him in the head and
getting a few haymakers.
It's such a crazy sport, isn't it?
Crazy sport, but like the code behind it, Perry wasn't going to do anything. Like it was an accident. There's nothing to do about it.
He's not even throwing. He's just trying to defend himself.
Yeah. So he knew like there was nothing he could do about it, so he just took his licks.
The refs give him 30 seconds. You've got your shots in. Job done. That's it. Off you go.
Yeah. And that's the sport of ice hockey.
Get to the Bucks.
Back to sportsmanship. So there you go.
You know what's so funny as well? How popular this sport is in Canada.
It's crazy.
And then you meet Canadians and they're the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
That's why they get their aggression out in the right way.
Sorry, bro.
Vented aggression.
Have you backed anyone in this?
Sorry,
yeah. The Vegas Knights. I bleed black and gold did.
Oh, there you go. So what are they? They're tied at the moment. Tied series.
Game 7.
Fuck if I know. I don't think there's too much ice in Las Vegas. And if there is, it's definitely
not the ice you're thinking of. Yes,
kind, that's for sure.
Yes.
Holy.
So we'll keep tracking and see how that goes going through that with the ice hockey. Do you want to tackle some of the boxing? Do you want to start with Paul Gallen and Henny? I'll be right back.
Yeah, Justice Hooney. He had a win. It's pretty remarkable that he's fighting Gal, I think, in 6 weeks.
16th junior.
Jesus Christ.
But then isn't he going to the Olympics after that?
Yeah. Young bloke. Just...
unconfirmed, but yeah. If it's still on.
What was the bloke that he beat? It was a pretty serious candidate, wasn't it?
Testing me here.
I think amateur boxing. Like, but is it? Yeah, because
3 weeks. It's 3 weeks between fights.
So
that is nuts.
Like that's no camp. Is that what he thinks of Gallen? Is that why
maybe
like Gallen gets to prepare for this guy?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's the gap. Is the gap that big? This guy's in the Olympics. Like,
yeah, he's a freak.
Yeah.
But does that say something about Gallen as well, though? Like,
maybe.
Yeah.
I think
he's that prize fighter.
Yeah, he's getting a paycheck. I think that's the main thing. But we spoke about it in a Lucas Brown fight. I thought, oh, geez, Gal's bitten off more than he can chew here, and he went out and flogged him. But
I think
again, Brown
may not train for that. So.
Yeah, and older, and
So I think
starting to wash up.
I think Gal's getting 80% of the purse in this as well.
That's
so he's
fucking crazy.
Yeah, but
80%. I guess he's bringing it.
I'm not sure amongst it.
He's the big name.
I'm not sure if you want to pull up some highlights or not from this, but Hooney looks. He's a class above. Like he's so much better than anyone Gallen's ever fought.
Yep.
And he did win this fight unanimously. May have dropped one round. Some of the judges had him dropping one round, but he won the others convincingly. So over 10 round fight. A lot of body shots, worked. Classic boxing style. He just worked him away, and then got the win in this. The other fighter, what was his name? Was it Christian
Soy or something?
Yeah, from Cameroon.
Basically had to throw big shots to try and keep him in this. But
so Paul Gallen was commentating this fight as well.
Yes,
no, he was.
Yes, he was. They brought him ringside. There was only 40 people allowed at this contest. That's why you can't see anyone in the background.
Look at his head movement there, Hooney, though.
Yeah,
he's down, doesn't care.
He's a different animal compared to anyone that Gallen's fought so far. So. I don't want to doubt Gallen at this point, but I think getting pieced up. And like we said, 3 weeks away, it's the week after Origin. And as you guys mentioned, Hooney, this fight yesterday last night, fights in 3 weeks. And then, if the Olympics happens, and that's a whole nother game with Tokyo and Japan and COVID.
When's that meant to be?
July. In July. So it's like another 3 weeks from that, he's in the Olympics. So busy schedule.
Yeah, big time. He's only young, I suppose.
This is his fourth fight as well. I thought he was a bit more seasoned.
As a professional, as an amateur, he won. I think he won a. I don't think he won a Olympic medal, but he won a Commonwealth medal.
No, I think he won a world.
Well,
so he won bronze medal in 2019 World Championship.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Didn't win, but he come third.
Yeah, but long time amateur fighter. So this. With their records, you might have like 100 amateur fights as an example.
Well, Olympics you do, If you make a bronze medal, you've had 5 fights in a week.
Did win gold in the Youth World Championships back in 2016.
That's what I was.
I remember it well.
Yeah. So
he's 22.
Big human.
We are old, washed up pieces of shit. I'll tell you what.
Speak for yourselves.
I'll speak for you too.
But you just look at his movement and the way, as you guys said,
unbelievable.
His head movement and back and forth.
Look,
and he dominated throughout this.
No guard. He doesn't give a fuck.
Wasn't worried at all. Didn't get cut. So
no.
I'd be very. Gal, of course, is going to be shorter than Christian, and at 5'11", he's a small bloke.
Well, and Justice looks big there against Christian. Imagine when Gal's in that ring, he's going to be like a head shorter than me. Oh,
I'm not sure. Have they released any odds for that fight, Marks, in Sportsbet?
I can't imagine.
Actually, Hooney's going to be a short favourite.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they've got.
I'd say $1.20 to $4, maybe.
Something pretty close. $1.17 to $4.65.
There we go.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Moving on.
More fight news.
Yes, there is a little bit.
Quick
I
news.
guess, we alluded to it last week.
Oh, you got that. Yeah, go that first.
So Fury and Wilder is on. It's on for July.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean they push? What happens with Joshua now?
I think that's August.
Okay,
late August. So
Fuck again, not
or I think it was late August.
No way. The fight's in July.
But whether they push it back, say, to September, but it looks like both are going to happen. So essentially, he's going to do my mandatory. I'm going to sort out Wilder, and then I'll go fight Joshua a month later, kind of thing.
Damn, it would suck if Wilder won. I actually quite like Deontay Wilder, but that would fuck everything up. That would fuck everything up.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's another rematch clause in Fury's favour if he did end up losing. And there
will be 100%. Yeah,
They just rinse and repeat until someone clearly wins two fights in a row.
Joshua's on the
just sitting there holding his 3 belts, just chilling. So,
is there a better name in world sport than Tyson Fury? I'm a boxer and I'm furious and I'm a gypsy king.
But then Deontay Wilder, it's a good one.
And then 2 first names.
2 first name moron.
Yes.
I like all 3 of them, to be honest.
Yeah,
I like the idea of heavyweight boxes.
And it's been a real resurgence of heavyweight boxing.
Well, those 3 are carrying it. Everyone else is a bit how you're going. But
yeah, but
that's all you need. Yeah, fucking oath.
These 3 can fight
Let
each
them all
other.
fight each other for the next 2 or 3 years.
Definitely. Trilogies, 4 times, 5 times. How many do you want? Just keep going.
So Tyson Fury was named after Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Yes.
But his surname is that's his gypsy fucking.
Can you find the
Irish traveller descent?
Yes.
Sorry.
The background behind Fury,
not Irish traveller. Apologies, not.
Yes.
Oh, you got in trouble for me saying the P word a couple of weeks back.
No, that was what you said.
Yeah, I know. You got me in trouble. I said.
All I know is I watch Peaky Blinders and I think it's derogatory.
Well, what's it? Snatch. You watched that movie?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good movie too.
Yes. Great movie.
Fucking pikey.
I mean, his nickname is the Gypsy, isn't he?
Yeah, the Gypsy King.
Gypsy King. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Can you find out when the Joshua Fury fight was planned for? I think it was August. Original chat in Dubai. Yeah, but whether they're possibly going to move that back or not, they have to. I'd say because I think that I'm not sure the date of that. I think it's like July 12th from memory. But anyway. Well, Marks pulls that up. The other July fight we wanted to mention was McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. We've been talking about this for ages. I think it's now official. So they're going to do their trilogy fight. And the other kind of news out of the boxing UFC world was Jake Paul has some deal with Showtime now, and Showtime being a promoter of boxing. Whose his component will be. He and Tyson Fury have been going back and forth on socials.
Please.
Not Tyson, but Fury's
Tyson's younger brother.
Younger brother.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine too.
Yeah, who I think's 5-0 as a pro is like Swole as please just go knock Jake Paul out for humanity.
The world needs it. Look at that. Better head of hair on him too.
Yeah, he's got a rig compared to his older brother.
A warning to Joshua.
It might be to market these to the ladies out there. That's quite a good looking man right there.
Yes.
I hope just someone needs to knock these 2 fuckwits out.
Well, hopefully Mayweather knocks out Logan.
I said it before. I don't know if he does. I don't think he loses, but I don't know if he knocks him out.
Oh, I think he dictates how long that fight's going for.
That is
goes
true.
for. Sorry,
it might be like McGregor, where he's just touching him up, and the ref was like, "I've had enough of this, and we're going to stop it." Not huge.
How many rounds is that? Can you check the Mayweather Logan fight?
Yeah, it's not 12.
It couldn't be a 12.
It'd be 10. It'd be 10.
It might be shorter than that.
It can't be shorter than that. It's got to be 10.
I don't know. Well, McGregor and Mayweather was going to be 8, wasn't it?
I think that was 10, wasn't it?
It was 10, and I think it was stopped in the 8.
It was stopped in the 8.
Yeah. The only fight over the weekend was Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. If anyone saw that, went to 4-5 rounds decisions, but Font pieced up Garbrandt throughout.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good fight, actually. I did watch it. There's a few heavyweight fights coming up, but nothing to speak of until we get to UFC 263. But we'll talk about that in maybe next week. It's 2 weeks away. It's the 13th.
2 weeks away.
We will be in Adelaide for that.
How good. Bucks Party.
Yes, Bucks Party's back up.
Oh, look out.
Yes. So, of course, Israel is the head card on that one.
God, I can't wait to murder you on the golf course.
It says 30 over boy over here.
Please. Have you seen my new driver?
Yeah, 30 over boy talking to 40 and 50 over boy.
50 is pretty generous for me. So that Fury Joshua fight has just been postponed to later in the year.
Yeah,
Joshua has a obligation
mandatory
to fight Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, that name rings a bell. I may think he may have
later this year
beaten that bloke already.
Might have to be another contracted fight.
Yeah, it is. It's a mandatory. Like
sick, maybe.
Yeah. With the belts, the organisations have a mandatory fight. So it's either you fight for another belt or you'll have to have a mandatory defend. So yeah, Joshua will have to defend his while he waits for Fury. But hopefully he can get Fury by the end of the year, and both don't lose. That's probably the main thing. Both haven't fought since their last fights, which was early last year. So yeah, hopefully they can come through and keep this. It'd be such a travesty if you'd never see Fury versus Joshua. Both pommies.
It'll happen.
It's got to happen. We say that, but then Pacquiao versus Mayweather took 10 years to put together.
Yeah, but it happened in their prime. Yeah, exactly. I don't want it when they're all washed up. Yeah, do it now. Yeah.
Like, if either Fury or Joshua does lose one of their fights that are coming up, do you reckon this Fury-Joshua fight happens? Because
they'll do the rematch. They'll do it with their. They'll have a rematch clause as well.
Yeah.
Well,
both
even after all that, like, say one of them doesn't win either.
They need belts. If they've both got belts,
Joshua and Fury's not happening. I don't think.
I don't think it's like you can't. I don't think they put together like a prize fight between the two of them where they're just fighting for the sake of being number one contender. At this point, they're only fighting for belts and that kind of conversations, and then
the money they'd make would be.
Well, that's the other thing. These guys don't need belts. Like these three could fight each other for the end of time, and everyone would watch it and pay big money for it. So. But I think the belt just adds a little bit of legitimacy to their competition. Sure. So. All right.
Moving forward.
From boxing to the F1. Monkey, did you watch the Monaco Grand Prix?
I did watch it. Not that there's much to watch. Monaco is a pretty...
These days, with aero and the tightness of the course, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say boring race because there was definitely a lot that happened throughout the weekend. But
just not a lot of overtakes.
We were on Mount Panorama on the weekend. That was bloody exhilarating.
Hot lap in the Subaru Forester.
I've got to get my golf clubs. Remind me before we leave. Oh, you took them out.
When do you need them?
Don't worry.
They're at my house. If you want to come get them.
Let me put it to you. What did it feel like going down the mountain?
Well, we actually did it in Mario Kart Extra. We went the
reverse. Okay, so you went up the mountain.
Up the mountain.
Which sucks.
It is narrow.
It is.
And steep as fuck.
Yeah, and you guys are doing probably 60 or 80. What was allowed through there?
I don't want to comment on that.
In the Subaru Forester.
But I'll tell you what, shout out to Josh Cameron, if you're still with us, stitched me up fucking big time. Goes, each time you go under... they got the sponsorship thing and you go under it. Yeah, there's a speed camera on each one of those. Oh, fuck. They got 8 speeding. Nothing's coming in the mail just yet. But, a lot of fun. Public access, so you can go
It is a public road, normally. Same with Monaco. So Monaco, throughout the year, to come back to this, is just a public road.
This is the same as Monaco. You're correct.
It's pretty much the same.
Public road side is what I meant. So it's used, and then of course F1 descends and they take over that entire track. It's been 2 years since they've been back in Monaco. Of course, couldn't do it last year with COVID. So first time, of course, back for them. Did Ricardo win it in 2019?
I feel like he has won there.
He did win.
I don't think it was 2019.
It was 18 then.
Yeah, I think Hamilton won.
That's probably right.
They stuffed up the... Oh, no, wait.
Anyway, Monks will figure that out.
Earlier than that.
Let me run through some stats. So Charles Leclerc got pole for this, but then he crashed on his subsequent lap during Q3. That ended the session, so then all the other guys couldn't then get in their fastest laps, which then changed the entire order for the drive.
Well, it happened right at the end of Q3, so there was like less than half a second left. Sorry, I say half a second, half a minute left.
But there was a lot of guys on their hot laps. A lot of
drivers were on their hot laps trying to pip Leclerc. And he crashed. Did all sorts of damage to his car.
Yeah, and that then led into the start of the race. They thought there wasn't an issue with the gearbox, but it ended up being, I think there was probably an issue in the drive shaft. So they tried to fire the car up and the car didn't go.
So the story behind that is if between qualifying and main race you need to replace a gearbox, that's a 5 grid place penalty. So he would have gone from pole position, which is almost a guaranteed win at Monaco, all the way back down to 5th. So I think they were banking on the fact that they couldn't see or had any metrics on the gearbox having any damage.
It all tested fine, and I think the gearbox ended up being fine. But so the connection between it and the drive shaft, there was something wonky. So when they fired the car up, it wasn't going to go.
Yeah, so it wasn't the formation lap, but they
trying to get it on the grid essentially to start for the formation lap was like this. It's fucked. So he had to pull out. So there was actually no one that started in P1. It was an empty grid spot. Bottas was in 3rd and Verstappen was in 2, yes?
Yep.
So Bottas had a clear run. Verstappen technically in pole, though. But as Monkey alluded to, Monaco, and we said before, there's not a huge amount of overtakes. It's doable. It's more doable, say, in the F2 than it is in the F1 at the moment because of the arrow. It's very hard to follow cars and get close enough to then do overtakes. And then, of course, there's not huge DRS and they're not great kind of overtaking zones, unfortunately, at Monaco. But that means pit strategy comes right into the forefront for this race. So the big winners, of course, was Vettel and Perez out of this. They picked up, I think, Vettel got 3 spots and Perez ended up with 4. The big losers, of course, happened to be teammates in Mercedes. Bottas came in for his and he had a wheel nut that just would not come off. Yeah. 2 days later, they still couldn't get that wheel off off the axle.
Shreds when
tore it to shreds.
What happens there? It just threads out and they can't get it off.
Well, the wheel nut, when they put it on, they cross-threaded it. Yeah. So then when they try to get the gun off, it can't undo it. So then they're ruining the nut as well. Yeah. So it's just essentially destroyed. They've seized metal together. So it's
because I've started to get a little bit of interest myself in this. So I was watching the video. You seen the size of the guns that like those nuts, like seriously, it's like a hand size. Like, unbelievable.
You got to imagine, you got to think, these cars are doing 300 plus Ks around a street circuit in Monaco. There's a lot of Gs, there's a lot of forces that go through all the cars. Like they need to be strong, they need to be stiff, but they also we need to change tires in 2 seconds. So it's you're on the cusp of the absolute limit, or it's the pinnacle of what a motor car can achieve. And you see what they do in what they do in F1, give it 3 or 4 years, and then they move some of that stuff down into production cars. It trickles down. So it's where they learn or make all those improvements. But even still, like Bottas, he was just unlucky. It's one of those things, just unlucky. Obviously, when they put the wheel on for originally to start the race, they've done it, they've fucked it up, and then when he's come back through, they just couldn't do anything about it.
I saw pictures of it. So these wheel nuts, they're sort of, I guess, a cylinder with like little ribs in it. Yeah,
it's not star shaped. Like it's got a lot more points than that.
But they put the gun on it, and because it
wouldn't
undo. Like it had worn all those ribs down, and it was literally just down to bare metal. Like the amount of force that goes through these guns, they can break people's arms if you don't use them properly. Sort of thing. Yeah. And
he's in second place. He's gunning there at the moment for a podium position, and then trying to fight Verstappen at that point to possibly win this race. Big out for him. Lewis Hamilton, at the time, was he 6th or 7th? He essentially went into his pit stop early than the others. The others then did what we call an overtake, then an overcut
from Vettel,
then an undertake. Yeah. But they obviously stuffed it up because the outlaps, the laps of the other two, and Lewis's outlap wasn't quick enough. So he ended up losing 2 positions to Vettel and Perez. Perez, as we said, jumped up 4. He went from 8th to 4th, and Vettel, I think, went from 7th. And they could be right. He finished 5th, didn't he?
Yep.
So they moved up where they were up to those spots. Yep. Hamilton then ended up finishing 7th in this race, which is a big out for him because Max Verstappen finished 1. Which this is actually excellent for F1, by the way.
Yeah,
Max Verstappen finished 1.
Competition,
Carlos Sainz finished 2, and Lando Norris finished 3rd. All the young blokes essentially being in there. Interesting enough, Hamilton, Vettel, and now Verstappen all won their first GP at 23 years old. And of course, the former 2 have won championships. Max Verstappen takes the lead now on the Drivers' Championships at 105 points. He's ahead of Lewis Hamilton at 101.
Is that a 2-horse race?
Hard to say. We'll see in the coming weeks. It's
you don't think so, Monkey?
This season is a lot closer than it's been like last year was, or the year before.
Well, they cut the spending, didn't they? I was listening to the interview.
Trying to get it closer.
Next year, I think they've cut the spend.
I think they've... I think Macca's right. They've brought it down a little bit, and then they're trying to parity next year. Yeah.
I was listening to an interview with, is it Christian Horner, the head of Red Bull?
Yes.
Principal of Red Bull, yeah.
They have, like, the amount of employers they have to work on the car. It's like they have like 1,000 people.
Yeah, it's over 1,000.
Just work on the chassis. It's
on 2 cars. Like it's bananas.
I want to watch the Netflix series that drive.
Yeah,
to
apparently
drive.
it's really
It is
good.
good.
It's good.
Do you love it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
you're right.
last year when they did the whole thing on Roman Grosjean and his crash. You might not have been in with us for that crash. You know, when he crashed into the wall.
He should have died.
Yeah, when you look at it like that crash, like 10 years ago, yeah, or even 20 years ago, definitely, he's dead. 10 years ago,
Wow.
maybe he's severely impaired, maybe he loses an appendage.
I reckon even 10 years ago, like 5 years ago, he'd be very lucky to walk away from that.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of freak accidents like that in the last couple of years where,
But
you don't get out of that.
But
alive.
last year, he walks away, burns, is basically it. So, like, you know.
And not
wild.
even that, like minor burns, we should say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy how far the sports. And we talk about Ian and Santa. It's probably where it's kind of kicked off. What's the Mercedes guys that died last year? Got all burnt. Fuck, Nicky
Lauda.
Lauda
Yep.
is another classic example of guys that in the 80s and 90s kind of kicked off the whole. Well, we got motorsport. It's super dangerous. Let's try to make it more safe. And then, all that innovation that goes into F1, like we said before, that then starts to funnel down into your production cars. They learn so much year to year about how to make things safer. One, faster, but also safer. That it's such a guy can hit a wall doing 300 k's an hour and then walk away, like we said, with minor burns. It's bananas.
Not only that, so he's now in IndyCar over the US a couple of weeks ago. So he's only racing in the street and circuit races. So he's not doing the old laps like NASCAR.
Yeah.
But he went. His rookie season, I think he had his third or fourth race, and he came in pole in qualifying. Ended up finishing third in the race, but to come back from an accident like that less than 12 months ago to go and be racing again just
Unbelievable.
and winning.
Quality driver as well. Like you can see there's 20 blokes at the moment at the top of the pinnacle of motorsport essentially, and that's why they get paid the big dollars.
That's it. And there's a lot more racers out there who
Yeah.
could be in F1 that's just don't have the cars for it.
Yeah.
Don't have the teams.
All the backing of billions of dollars.
Might be one or two of those.
Yes, but I think it's awesome to see Verstappen kind of take the lead. It's the first time that he's led the driving championship. I think it's the first time in a while that Lewis hasn't been actually leading the championship. He probably flicked, I think, back and forth with Bottas, and of course, Nico Rosberg won that championship a couple of years ago before he retired. So it's actually starting to heat up a little bit in the F1 world. It's been good. This is not the perfect race to show the spectacle of what F1 overtaking is, but
There
watching
hasn't been much of a spectacle of F1 overtaking the last couple of years anyway.
It's true. And hopefully with the change of the sport coming up next year, that the aerodynamics will then allow that to come up. But, watching cars going around a street circuit in Monaco where essentially the track's 4 meters wide.
The margin of error is insane.
Yeah, one mistake and you're in the wall. And, they're doing... The average, I think, was 170 kilometers an hour around the track, and their maximum was like 280. And they're going around again, like 4 meters wide. It's turning, and it's a street circuit. Like it is bananas.
Yeah. I guess a final note for the race: Danny Ricciardo didn't have that great of a race. He started 12th and finished 12th. Yep, still getting a feeling for the car.
Yeah, I read today.
He did win that, by the way, in 2018.
There we go. Yeah. And of course, with Red Bull before he went to Renault. I heard some chat that he's been struggling a little bit with locking his tyres up, like with his brakes, which of course flat spots tyres and hurts his tyres. So he's got to feel that car out. The car's not kind of set up yet for him to succeed. We saw it last race that he can definitely score points and be competitive. Lando finishing third. I think that's his second third of the year already. The car is competitive. He's just got to find his mojo. Mojo. Yeah, he's driven the car 5 times essentially, or 6 times, whatever races they've done. To finish the Voss, when's the next race, James? Is it? I don't think there's a race.
Oh, it's Baku.
Azerbaijan.
Right.
Yes, Azerbaijan.
So
and
that's
what's the date?
Next weekend.
Yeah,
The
2 weeks.
4th to the 6th.
Yeah.
Not this weekend, next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah, beautiful. Excellent. That then rolls us. That's enough F1. Let's roll us into some golf.
Phil Mickelson, the oldest major winner ever. 50 years, 11 months.
Did Tiger take that from him a couple of years ago when he won?
No. So
He'd been the oldest since, I think, Phil won whatever his previous one was, wasn't it?
No, I think it was Julius Boros. Going back in 1968, household name. He was 48 in 4 months. I think Tiger might have had the record for longest time in between winning majors.
Yes.
But Tiger's still only in his mid-40s.
Yes.
Yeah, so if he can come back from this horrific accident this year, then, who knows? Jack Nicklaus, he sent a congratulatory video. Nicholas?
Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, Nicholas.
Jack Nicklaus.
You heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's one of the best golfers of all time.
Nicklaus.
That's how you say it in
the homelands.
Anyways, Mickelson, last one. His last major, British Open 2013, 8 years ago. So he's now won the PGA Championship twice, 3 Masters, 1 British Open. All he needs is that US Open, and he's been runner-up 6 times.
6 times.
That alone is very impressive.
Isn't it?
Very
Coming
impressive.
second in a golf comp 6 times is unbelievable.
Is that because the players' dinner afterwards is very expensive and he doesn't get the same payout? I think I heard some chat about that. Finishing second's more beneficial for you than winning it.
I don't know.
Having said that, I think he'd want to win it. So I'm kidding.
So if he can get that elusive US Open, he would join only Jack Nicklaus.
Thank you.
Tiger Woods, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, and Gene Sarazen as the only golfers ever that have won 4 majors. What about your boy Brooks?
You really got to say it.
He got very close.
But to be fair, it wasn't really that close. Like the last day of a a major builds that pressure alone. But like I'd gag up. If I ever hit under par ever, but like
on 1 hole,
that exactly. That alone, like Phil was pretty much in control that whole back 9. There was a couple of times where he dropped a shot and came back, but the crowd that was charging around him, like
huge crowds.
Yeah, COVID is apparently vanished.
It doesn't exist in the US.
Yeah,
no,
never did.
It is not a thing.
They actually, the PGA came out and apologised, saying, "Sorry, that's not how a crowd should behave at a golf tournament."
Great,
I think that's awesome.
You need more of that in golf.
Yeah. As long as it's appropriate. And again, no one's running in front, no one's screaming while they're in their backswing like it is. But charging down, he was getting swarmed by hundreds of people. It was passion. That was awesome. But Brooks did come runner up again. He's only a few weeks removed from knee surgery, and he missed the cut at Augusta, but he was fucking hitting bombs still, hitting old school Brooks. He played really, really well.
Does he love Bryson though?
Oh, that's been more of the story. Hey, Phil would be flat. Again, we're not even a week removed from him winning, and we're talking about this feud, which is, again, I think awesome for golf. You've got this.
Yeah, you need a story like this.
Yeah, exactly.
You need characters in sport, and especially individual sport. And, F1's a great example. You've got the good guys, you've got the bad guys. Tennis is the same, but Brooks and Bryson, you wouldn't think there's too much dissimilar from the guys. Big meaty boys that hit bombs, and Bryson a lot more out there. I think Brooks is a bit more reserved, and Brooks was obviously doing an interview at the end of the last day. And, just talking about pace, just saying his putts weren't dropping, you couldn't read it. And then Bryson just stomps in the background and says, well, we just got to get a better read or something.
And his spot, you could hear him.
Like deliberately. Yeah.
But Brooks' reaction, just like...
He literally rolls his eyes and says, we have to start again.
So far in the back of his head, he's just like...
So funny. And I know you don't mind Bryson, but...
we nicknamed the Hulk. He's just a big fella hitting big bombs.
This was hitting the nail home.
Yeah.
He is...
he's a douche. He's a flog. He's a fuckwit.
Douche-ambo.
He is...
Look.
the memes that have come from...
That's from Tom Brady as well. That's funny.
So I suppose we'll get into this
realising
story
he has to spend the whole day with Bryson.
Well, have you seen this match that's coming up?
Yeah.
Well, that was our next note. The Mickelson and Brady combination. They took on Manning and Tiger Woods, I believe.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
I believe Manning and Tiger actually won that.
Yep.
But they were like, well, we need a new competition. So Bryson and Aaron Rodgers have decided to come together and compete against Mickelson and Tom Brady in a
great
Friendly.
golfers. They're
Oh, fuck it.
100%.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are, they love their golf.
So yeah, I don't know if that's got a date. July 6th.
It's my birthday.
There you go. It's not too far away.
Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you.
Who you got in that?
I'd go Bryson Aaron.
Nicholson played like dog.
See, you like Bryson.
I
love Aaron Rodgers, but
I'm backing on the Aaron Rodgers here.
I'll say I hate.
I think Tom Brady's not as good a golfer as his quarterback. Let's put it that way.
he's good at golf. He's good at golf.
But he's not Peyton Manning was way better than him at golf. I think Aaron does play a fair bit of golf, so I'm thinking Aaron's. I know, but I think Aaron's a slightly better golfer from what I've heard on the grapevine.
Because he's pretty good at the pro-ams and stuff that he plays.
I hate Bryson, but I think his character is good for the sport. You know, he's that personality.
He's a big meathead.
Polarizing. You love him or you hate him. And this back and forth, like, you know, everyone's saying, give us this pairing at US, you know, the first day of the US Open. Give like the sound bites you'd get would be priceless. So I'd definitely watch that, mate. That'd be great fun. Yeah. I think they might I'm remembering from the Tiger one, they're mic'd up and they talk shit to each other.
Well, I think Manning and Brady carried the shit talking in the last one.
Well, again, these golfers, they're pretty witty now and then, but they're pretty dry. They're all pretty dry humans. Yuck. So, yeah.
Would you rather see Bryson Brooks first day or final day?
Well, you'd want it final day, but they just have to, because then they're both in contention. If they, you know, so that's the dream. But
that's the dream. Yeah. That'd be impressive.
I'll Phil and Brady will be hanging shit on Bryson about Brooks, 100%. It's right there.
The whole day.
It's free chat. Yeah.
Let's finish this bitch up with some soccer.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It's been a long one. Match 38, or match day 38, I should say, in the EPL.
Last round. EPL's all done now.
We were so close to seeing Leicester and West Ham playing Champions League football.
They miss out. All hammers.
Chelsea actually lost to Aston Villa, but Leicester played Tottenham and they couldn't get a win there. I think West Ham were already done.
Yeah, they're too far back by that point.
Yeah, so the big four go through. You know what's nice though? Atletico and Lille win La Liga and Ligue 1. So good to see them. What about this morning, our time? Villarreal and Manchester United. Hate to see it as a United fan, but as a fan of football, a
goalies,
a penalty shootout where no one misses for 21 pens, and then David De Gea has to go and sink one, and the keeper.
Well, I guess that the
11-10. That is fucking ridiculous.
Well, you got to say the goalie for the other team sunk his. So then,
yeah.
Well, 21-10. Yeah.
But I haven't encountered a situation like this before. I was going, what happens here? And I think you can't double up, so it's got to be your bench guys. If, like, say De Gea nails this, they can't just go back and
no, I think they do. Don't they go back to the top?
No, I'm pretty sure.
I remember back in the day on FIFA, they just recycled them. But
FIFA's a little bit different.
Well, that's the only time I can think of encountering.
And when has this ever happened? Can anyone ever remember penalties going to 11-10? I'm fairly sure that you can't take another one. I think they pull people off the bench.
But what if you've
go through all the
come off? What if you're putting a player back into the game? I put a skull bet that it's you go back to number one.
Ooh. Marks, do you have an official ruling on penalty shootouts?
Skull bet? All right. Yeah, sure, why not?
Well, we'll let you got it?
Yeah. Hang on. We'll see. I haven't finished reading the sentence yet.
Okay, let Monkey read that. Let's just move on.
I will say, now, just to wrap it up, David De Gea was our best player for 3 or 4 years. When we were shit, we didn't have him. We were what Arsenal are now. We were pathetic without David De Gea. This sucks that this is probably his last moment as United played. Really sucks.
It's not his job.
Yeah,
that's not his job.
But he was awful at the pen. Did you see the pens? Didn't get near one. Did not get near one. Was awful. Stood still for a lot of them. Just dove the wrong way.
He missed 11 coming up to that. So yeah.
Yeah. So it really sucks.
I never understood the standing still. Just throw the body one way. And hope.
I don't know unless it's at
that point, 11,
you're leaning one way and then you notice you're like.
Well, I think a lot of it coming down from my expertise in goalkeeping. I I think a lot of it is preemptive. Like you've just got to pick away and
it's 50%.
And bail out because it is a long way to drive.
Big, like
just
the way
they
they hit the ball, you're not going to go off reflex and get it out of the top left or the top right. No. So
you're never going to be as quick as those boys.
No,
the way they kick that ball, it's moving. You're not going to be able to. You're not Spider-Man. You're not going to be a jumper. Reflexes to knock that away. So yeah, you just pick a side. 50-50 sort of. Get big, like you say, and hopefully it ricochets off you.
What's happening with this A-League deal, if you wouldn't mind, Sean?
Well, did you want to cover Chelsea and Man City first? Or
It's upcoming.
Next
week. It's our weekend. Everyone's weekend, in the world.
Yes.
But yeah, Chelsea and Man City. Who you guys got here? The lesser of two evils. I'm going to go Chelsea.
Lightning bolt to hit and the game be called off.
Oh, Man City's going to win.
Yeah, I
would really like both teams to lose.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer City to win. As gross it is.
That is gross.
It's still nothing to me as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they play two legs, don't they? So
it's a final.
Only one leg.
Final.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully draw and then 100 pens and then.
Yeah, maybe they might find out this for us. It might happen quicker than Monkey can research it because I've never seen it before. So.
So
A-League.
We'll finish off with the lonely A-League as a note before Monkey tells us about pens.
You got to scroll down, baby. It's past that.
Riding furiously there.
So interesting enough, the A-League has finally signed a deal for some free-to-air TV. They've been, I think, exclusively on Fox Sports, on Foxtel.
Yep.
So the $200 million deal over 5 years with a possible 3-year extension on that. So they get one game a week on Saturday night, which would be on free-to-air. For Channel 10. The other 5 games are on this new Paramount Plus thing, which I think is trying to compete with some of the big US, like
Amazon Prime and stuff
Amazon Prime, ESPN Plus, etc. Trying to get into that market. So they've added A-League. I'm not sure that's going to be a huge winner in Australia, but at least we've got one soccer game free to air every week on a Saturday night.
There you go.
There you go. And they're getting good money out of it. It's probably the good thing.
That
helps the league then build and attract players, etc.
Yeah, well, and hopefully some of that goes back to the players because I think the long-running story is there's plenty of money within the FFA and not much of it goes back to the players.
Yeah.
So.
And, with sport in this country, it's very much you need to put it on free to air because you've got to get your product out in front of people. Hopefully this kicks off the game.
As per rugby union.
Rugby union, of course, is that example. Like, they've been paid TV for forever, and if you're not an old boy, you don't have that. Mm-hmm. And they've only just moved to Stan, and then, no one still watches it, but they're getting there. They're working their way through it. So hopefully that'll then increase the world game in Australia, as has the World Cup, push so far. Having said that, Monkey, do you have me an answer on what happens, penalty goals? Do they keep going? Do they bring in?
I think it's no. You're
all right. So I'll jump through the order. So after 5 rounds of kicks, the teams have equal number of successful kicks. Additional rounds of 1 kick each will be used until
Sunday.
One.
Sunday. Till someone misses. Yeah, we knew that.
Jump across. So no player will be allowed to take a second kick until all other eligible players on the team have taken their first kick, including goalkeeper. If it becomes necessary for players to take another kick because the score has remained equal after all eligible players have taken their first kick, players are not required to kick in the same order.
Yeah, so it's like go through the level.
You have to be on the field.
Eligible, which is on the field, so it's the 11. So Pepe, I think you missed out on this. So yeah, they would restart it, but they wouldn't start the order. They could they might go, hey, as an example, like Ronaldo, you kick third in the first one, come kick first in this one, as an example.
They can change the order, but they can't sub in.
Yes.
Sean, give us an outro. I'll delete this beer. It's midnight Australian Eastern Standard.
Yes.
Thank you for your
massive show, huge NRL chat, of course. Yes. Thank you, Macca, for coming in midway or quarter of the way in.
As always.
Thank you, boys, for coming out. As always, if you like this content, please subscribe or hit us up on socials. Send us comments and troll the shit out of us if you want. We do love a bit of banter, as always. Yes. Thank you, boys. We'll see you guys next week. State of Origin 2 weeks away. Playoff sports and the Americans. There's so much stuff going on. We'll cover it all. We'll talk about it more as we get there, as Peps downs that in under 10 seconds. Thank you. Bye from us.
Catch up.
We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.